Chapter 1351. Within the courtyard, the handsome man held a bottle of wine in his hand and poured it into his mouth. The wine flowed out of his mouth, but he did not seem to notice it at all. His lips curled into a bitter smile. The woman I love has been lying to me all this time. She's so cute, but I pushed her away. Ha! The man loudly laughed. His laughter was filled with madness, causing the servants standing next to him to become impatient. However, ever since their young master had returned from the continent lord's residence, he had been drinking away his worries. No matter what they said, he would not listen. Continent lord, suddenly, one of the servants' eyes lit up. She saw the middle-aged man rushing in from outside the courtyard. Just as she was about to call out to him, he raised his hand to stop her. "One air." The handsome man was still muttering, not seeing the person walking over. "If I know I was wrong, can you give me another chance?" A tall figure appeared in front of the man, blocking out the sunlight above his head. Ling Chun looked up in shock. After seeing the middle-aged man in front of him, he rubbed his eyes in disbelief. "Father, why are you here?" The middle-aged man's expression was dignified, and his eyes were sharp. "I already know what happened between you and Hong Wan. Chenair, come with me and apologize immediately." "Apologize?" Ling Chen bitterly laughed, looking quite embarrassed. "She won't give me that chance. Hong Wan never wanted to see him again in this life." "Servants, bring the young master some hangover soup," the middle-aged man ordered. He then turned to look at Ling Chen, and his expression softened. "If you come with me and apologize, you might still have a chance." Chance? These two words caused Ling Chen's eyes to light up. He looked up at the middle-aged man. "Father, I really have a chance?" "That's right. However, apart from bringing you to apologize, I'm also going to hand Xia Chu over to Hong Wan. Will you feel bad for her?" Hearing the name Hong Wan, Ling Chun gritted his teeth. "That woman lied to me. I've already cut off all ties with her. If I can exchange her for Wan Air, I won't regret it." See, this is what a man is like. When he loves you, he's willing to give you the entire world. When he no longer loves you, you're nothing in his eyes. "Good," the middle-aged man said coldly. "Drink the hangover soup and set off with me immediately." A glimmer of hope appeared in Ling Chen's eyes. Even if Hong Wan were to reject him again, she would definitely give face to her father. In that case, he might really have a chance. East Continent. Continent Lord Mansion. Yin Luofeng had just entered a meditative state when 3 knocks came from the door. She slowly opened her eyes and said, "Come in." The door was pushed open, and a person dressed in embroidered clothes walked in. Hong Ling looked at the young girl sitting on the bed, and her expression was a little awkward. "Ahem." He coughed twice, cleared his throat, and said, "Miss Yin, I wonder if you're free right now." "What's up?" Yin Luofeng raised his eyebrows and asked the middle-aged man standing in front of him. "I've come to you to ask you for a favor." The middle-aged man glanced at Yin Luofeng and continued, "Of course, I won't ask you to help me for free. I've heard that Miss Yin is also a doctor. As long as Miss Yin is willing to help me, you can take away any medicinal herbs in my continent lord's mansion." Chapter 1352. Yin Luofeng was able to tell Xia Chu's symptoms at a glance, so he must be a doctor. The most tempting thing for doctors were herbs. Yin Luofeng thought for a moment. "What do you want me to help you with?" "This." Hong Ling's expression became even more awkward. "I know that Wan has made up her mind to leave with you. I beg you, take good care of Wan for me. That girl is too domineering, and she can't stand a grain of sand in her eyes. How can I not worry when she's away?" Yin Luofeng stared straight at Hong Ling. After a long time, she finally said, "I will not accept your herbs." "Miss Yin." Hong Ling's expression changed slightly. Just as he was about to persuade her, the girl's indifferent voice sounded again. It was like a heavy hammer that hammered into his heart. "You must believe in Hong Wan. With her abilities, she doesn't need anyone to take care of her. You must believe in Hong Wan." All of a sudden, Hong Ling felt as if she was suddenly enlightened, and her heart became clear. "Miss Yin, I understand what you mean. Wan is my daughter. I should believe in her abilities." Hong Ling cupped his fists. "Thank you." With that, he turned and left. After Hong Ling left, Yin Luofeng entered meditation again. She felt the thin barrier inside her body shake again. Delighted, she quickly entered the divine grimoire space. As Yin Luofeng's strength increased, the medicinal field inside the divine grimoire space had expanded several times. The sky was blue. Congratulations on breaking through, Master. Little Amo looked at Yin Luofeng with a smile and sincerely congratulated him. Little Amo, I'm going to break through. Don't let anyone disturb me. With that, she sat down cross-legged. Faint spirit energy circled around her body. Boom! A powerful force attacked the paper-thin barrier inside her body. But even though the barrier was as thin as paper, it was extremely difficult to break. Every time Yin Luofeng exerted force, it only shook a little. Break! Yin Luofeng shouted coldly. The spirit energy flowing inside her body turned into power and fiercely slammed against the barrier. Spirit energy swirled in the sky. Perhaps it was because the spirit energy was too strong. It formed a vortex above her head. It was a spectacular sight. Unfortunately, because Yin Luofeng was breaking through inside the divine grimoire space, other than the spirit beast in the space, no one could see this. Boom, 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 boom. Unknowingly, the lightning had also revealed itself. It rumbled as if it was about to strike down. Little Mo looked a little anxious. He clenched his fists tightly and looked at Yin Luofeng worriedly. Master will definitely succeed. She can't possibly fail. Fire was the exact opposite of Little Mo. She did not say anything as she stared at Yin Luofeng with her bright eyes. His expression was one of trust. Yes, in this world, Yin Luofeng would never fail. Ha ha! The small tree giggled and raised its two arms, wanting to pounce on Yin Luofeng. Fortunately, Fire stopped him in time and said in a low voice, "Don't disturb Master's breakthrough." The little tree pouted unhappily. "I want a hug. Then, the small tree struggled free from Fire's embrace and staggered in front of Yin Luofeng. He opened his mouth slightly, and in that instant, all the spiritual energy above Yin Luofeng's head was sucked into his mouth. Boom! Yin Luofeng had finally broken through that barrier, and his strength had entered a whole new level. Chapter 1353. Low-level Saint King. I've finally arrived. Once she became a Saint King, she would be considered to have truly stepped into the ranks of the strong. Little tree, why are you here? Yin Luofeng then discovered the chubby baby standing in front of him, his eyes filled with surprise. You seem to have grown up a lot. The small tree let out a satisfied burp and quickly threw itself into Yin Luofeng's arms. An innocent smile hung on its pink little face. Mother, I'm full, I want to pee. Yin Luofeng's face darkened. Let little Immo take you there. After saying this, she raised her head, but suddenly discovered that little Mo's body was enveloped by a group of halos, and his figure was gradually elongated. Little Immo? Yin Luofeng was startled. She released the little tree in her arms and slowly walked towards little Immo suddenly. The halos that enveloped little Immo disappeared. The 6 or 7-year-old boy also disappeared, and what appeared in front of her was a tall, handsome, and slightly inexperienced youth. The youth had a head of black hair, a young smile on his face. He looked at his slender fingers, his eyes filled with joy. You are little Immo? Yin Luofeng's voice carried doubt, as if he did not believe that the person who appeared in front of him was that pink jade-carved talkative boy from before. However, the aura on this youth's body was clearly little Mo's. Master, the youth raised his head, looking at Yin Luofeng. I can explain this to you. Before Master's strength breaks through Saint King, I can only meet you in my infant form, and I can't fight for you, nor can I stay in the outside world for a long time. However, the youth paused, then continued. Once you break through to Saint King, I will also undergo a huge change. This change in my body is only a part of it. The most important thing is from now on, I can stay by your side forever and fight for you. Oh, Yin Luofeng gently stroked his chin, raising his eyebrows and smiling. Why do I feel that the greatest use is that you can marry Little White? Master, The youth's eyes were filled with grief. That expression was a vivid representation of being bullied. Master, look! Suddenly, Fire's shocked voice came from the front. Yin Luofeng looked up. On the grass in front of him, there was originally a cute and lively girl lying flat. However, at this moment, the girl who was originally unconscious gradually opened her eyes. Her black eyes were filled with confusion, like a lost lamb. Xiaobai is awake? Yin Luofeng's expression changed. There was no joy in his eyes. Impossible. Whitey's soul hasn't fully recovered. The third fruit of soul had not been found yet. Why did she wake up at this time? Little Mo, what are the consequences of her awakening? Before this, Yin Luofeng had used a silver needle to seal the girl's soul. Why did she wake up at this time? Little Mo's expression was ugly as well. The consequence of waking up early is mental incompetence. What caused it? I'm not sure, but I think the biggest possibility is that the storm created when you broke through affected her mind, causing her to wake up from her coma. The spiritual energy storm that was produced when one broke through to the Holy King realm was too great. As a result, the small tree could not help but absorb the remaining spiritual energy so that it would not go to waste. Therefore, it was not surprising that Xiaobai was affected. Why didn't you tell me earlier? Chapter 1354. I forgot. Little Mo had indeed forgotten, so he felt guilty. How could he forget such an important thing? Yin Luofeng frowned and quickly walked to Lin Ruobai's side. She squatted down and said gently, Xiaobai, how is your body? The girl was startled and asked word by word, Who are you? Who are you? Yin Luofeng's frown deepened as he turned to Little Mo. Did she lose her memory? I've already said that her soul has not recovered. Waking up prematurely will cause her mind to be incomplete, including losing all her memories. Little Mo lowered his head in shame. If not for him, perhaps Xiaobai would not have woken up prematurely. What's the solution? Yin Luofeng asked calmly. Find the third fruit of the soul. The third fruit of the soul? Looks like she needs to leave the East Continent early. Little Mo, since Xiaobai has woken up, the Divine Grimoire space will not let her stay here. So, I need you to leave and take care of Xiaobai. What? Little Mo shouted anxiously. You want me to take care of this witch? Yin Luofeng's gaze scared Little Mo. He shuddered and said pitifully, All right, I'll take care of her. It was my mistake that caused her to wake up prematurely. Just treat it as compensation. Yin Luofeng lowered his head and stared at the girl in front of him. Xiaobai, you must remember me. I am your master. Master? The young girl looked confused. She blinked her eyes and said, You my master? My name is Xiaobai. Yes, your name is Lin Ruobai. Lin Ruobai. The young girl softly murmured these 3 words. Her face bloomed with a smile that was brighter than the sun. She looked innocent and pure. All right, my name is Lin Ruobai. For some reason, Little Mo's heart skipped a beat when he saw the girl smile. She was different from the cruel and headstrong Lin Ruobai of the past. At this moment, she was innocent, adorable, and pure. She was like a girl next door, pitiful. Little Mo hurriedly shook his head to get rid of the thoughts in his mind. Lin Ruobai was still Lin Ruobai. Even if her mind was incomplete, he would still not fall in love with her. Master, Lin Ruobai crawled up from the ground and hooked onto Yin Luofeng's arm. She looked up with her big bright eyes and said in a soft and sweet voice, Xiaobai, I'm hungry. Acting cute is shameful. Little Mo snorted. He couldn't stand the sight of Lin Ruobai clinging to Yin Luofeng and acting cute. In comparison, he still felt that the willful Lin Ruobai from before was more likable. Xiaobai has been unconscious for so long. She should be hungry. Yin Luofeng patted Lin Ruobai's head, his eyes filled with love. Let's go. We'll take her to eat something. Master, I want to go as well. Fire curled her lips and looked at Yin Luofeng eagerly. Although the small tree didn't like eating those foods, it didn't want to stay in the Divine Grimoire space alone. Therefore, it had already used its limbs to cling onto Yin Luofeng, unwilling to let go. All right, let's all go out then. Towards her own people, Yin Luophone would never be heartless. Hence, she did not reject their request. Just as Yin Luophone was leading everyone to eat, drink, and have fun, the North Continent Lord Lingli led a group of people to the East Continent Lord Mansion. Chapter 1355. How could Hong Ling not know why these people had come? After sending someone to invite Hong Luan, he sat in the hall and waited. After a while, a middle-aged man walked out from the hall and appeared in front of Hong Ling. Hong Ling loudly laughed as she stood up. Continent Lord Ling, you've finally come. You've come at the right time. I have something to announce. Without giving Ling Li a chance to speak, Hong Ling directly said, this time, the marriage alliance between our two continents ends here. Ends here? Ling Li's eyes darkened as he asked in a low voice, Continent Lord Hong, what do you mean by this? You should ask your young master about this. Hong Ling coldly looked at Ling Chun, who had his head lowered. I'm sure he can give you an explanation. Ling Li looked at his son, and after seeing his pained expression, he couldn't help but sigh. Continent Lord Hong, I want to see Luan Air. Hong Ling smiled. I've already sent someone to call her. Just as she finished speaking, a red figure hurriedly walked in. The woman was incredibly beautiful, with almond-shaped eyes, willowy eyebrows, and red lips. She had an indescribable allure to her. Ever since Hong Ling came in, Ling Chen's gaze had been on her, unable to move away. The guilt in his gaze was very strong, so strong that it could be seen in his eyes. Continent Lord Ling, you've come? Hong Luan stopped walking and turned to look at Ling Li. Are you here to cancel the marriage alliance? Hearing Hong Luan call him that, Ling Li helplessly sighed. Luan Air, you used to call me uncle, so why are you treating me like an outsider now? I know my son was in the wrong, so I brought him here to apologize. I've also brought that woman Xia Chu. As long as you can calm down, you can do whatever you want with her. Hong Luan laughed mockingly. Continent Lord Ling, Ling Chun, and Xia Chu have already consummated their marriage. Why do you think I should accept him? Ling Li and Ling Li's expression became a bit ugly. Chun Air is a man, so it's not strange for him to have other women. Moreover, I can promise you that in the future, there will not be any women in the Northern Continent's Continent Lord's residence. In order to establish a marriage alliance with the Eastern Continent, Ling Li was going all out. Ling Chen did not say anything else. After the incident at the beginning of summer, he had decided to listen to his father's arrangements. I'm sorry. Hong Luan raised her eyebrows and smiled. I was born with mysophobia. I will never accept a man who has been used by someone else. Hong Luan, Ling Li shouted angrily. However, just as he finished shouting, Hong Ling's hand suddenly fell on the table, her eyes imposing and fierce. Continent Lord Ling, what do you want to do? My daughter is not someone you can yell at. Hearing this, Ling Li took a deep breath and suppressed the anger in his heart. He continued, Luan, Uncle hopes that you will consider this carefully. In this world, there are far too few people who only have one woman in their life. No, it should be said that such people do not exist. Therefore, a man like Chinner who doesn't take concubines in the future can be considered a good man. After speaking, Ling Li glanced at Ling Chun. Ling Chun suddenly came to his senses and hurriedly promised, I swear that as long as Luan is willing to marry me, I won't let any other woman enter the house. All he said was not to let any woman in. What Ling Li said was that he would never take a concubine. Neither of them could guarantee that Ling Chun wouldn't take another woman in the future. How could a normal man not have any needs when living apart from his wife? As long as Ling Chun didn't take concubines, it was only natural that he would find other women to satisfy his needs. Chapter 1356. How could Hong Luan not understand what these people were implying? She sneered, her eyes filled with disdain as she slowly swept her gaze across Ling Li and his son. Ling Chun, I once said that I, Hong Luan, only want one person for the rest of my life. Hong Luan raised her eyebrows and said condescendingly, What right do you have to marry me when your mind is controlled by your body? Ling Li frowned slightly. He used to think that Hong Luan was very sensible, but now this woman was as stubborn as a cow. Furthermore, Chinner had already promised that he would never take another concubine. Was that not enough? Luaner, uncle is matchmaking you in Chinner for your own good. Which man does not have multiple wives and concubines nowadays? A man who is willing to marry only you in this life is already a good man. As for physical needs, that is a man's nature. No one can tolerate it. Hong Luan sneered. Since you said that, does that mean that all humans have needs? Can all women in the world sleep with Hong Luan? Ling Li was furious, his tone no longer as polite as before. What are you talking about? How can a woman compare to a man? A woman should be faithful to the end of her life. Any woman who has an affair should be hacked to pieces. Actually, it was understandable for Ling Li to be so angry. After all, Hong Luan's words had pierced his heart. Years ago, his concubine could not bear the loneliness and slept with another man. In a rage, he tore the adulterers into pieces. Any woman who is unfaithful deserved to die. Ling Li, Hong Ling's eyes turned cold. This is the East Continent, and Luaner is my daughter. I hope you can speak politely, otherwise, don't blame me for being merciless. Hong Ling, how dare you criticize me? I would like to ask you how you raised your daughter. How dare she say such dissolute words? As a woman, do you know what shame is? How dare she say that women can also satisfy their needs? If this woman was not the eldest daughter of the East Continent Prefecture, she would have been killed by the righteous people of the continent. My daughter naturally has me to teach her. You have no right to speak here, Hong Ling said coldly, her face expressionless. Men, send the guest away. From today onwards, the East Continent Prefecture does not welcome people from the North Continent. His voice was cold and resolute, and he did not care about the good relationship he had with the North Continent over the years. Moreover, this was indeed Ling Chen's fault. Now, these people had come here in the name of apologizing, but were still trying to force his daughter to marry him. Then why should he be polite to these people? 20 years ago, he had failed to protect the woman he loved. 20 years later, he would not let his daughter be hurt again. Hong Ling, Ling Li's eyes darkened, and he said coldly, "Are you sure you want to do this?" "Not bad." Hong Ling sneered. "Please go back." "All right. I hope you won't regret this." Ling Li's eyes were filled with viciousness. He lifted his head to look at Hong Luan and said, "Hong Luan, you've missed out on a man like Chinner. Unless you remain unmarried for the rest of your life, your man will definitely have 3 wives and 4 concubines. It's impossible for anyone to promise you a lifetime of love." After saying this, Ling Li flung his sleeves and led the people of the North Continent Prefecture away in a hurry. Xiaochu seemed to have been forgotten by them as she was left in the hall. She looked at everyone in the hall with a pair of fearful eyes. "Luaner, what do you plan to do with this woman?" Hong Ling looked at Hong Luan and asked. Hong Luan pondered for a moment. "Everything she has done has nothing to do with me. If we were to say that she has made a mistake, there can only be one. That is, she had designs on Yin Luo phone." Chapter 1357. "Father," Hong Luan turned to Hong Ling and said, "Give the order to blacklist her. No one is allowed to accept her. I want her to destroy herself." In the end, Hong Luan still showed mercy. Aside from Ling Chun, Xiaochu had not done anything to harm her. Everything that she had done to Xiaochu had nothing to do with her. No, even with such a punishment, Xiaochu could not help but cry out in despair. "Miss Hong Luan, please let me go. I beg you." If the East Continent's Prefecture Lord issued an order to blacklist her in the future, not only would her family expel her, it would also be extremely difficult for her to find a rich husband in the future. This was equivalent to her life being ruined. Thinking of this, Xiaochu knelt in front of Hong Luan and kowtowed fiercely. She kowtowed so hard that her forehead was quickly dyed red and blood flowed continuously from her head. "Miss Hong Luan, I know I was wrong. I won't dare to do it again. Please spare me. I beg you." Hong Luan raised an eyebrow. "I've said it before, this is the price you have to pay for framing Yin Luo phone." She would not personally deal with Xiaochu. However, once the East Continent's Prefecture Lord issued the order, this woman's days on the mainland would be extremely difficult. Perhaps her life would be worse than death. Scram! As soon as Hong Luan shouted, Two guards immediately stepped forward and grabbed Xiachu's arms, violently throwing her out. Thump! Xiachu's body rolled on the ground a few times, causing her back to ache from the fall. At this moment, her eyes were filled with helpless tears and despair. She knew that this time she would definitely not have a chance to make a comeback. Unfortunately, her pitiful expression might be useful to men, but in Hong Wan's face, it would only increase her disgust. In the living room, silence reigned. Hong Wan turned her head, her phoenix eyes staring at the middle-aged man sitting on the high seat. Her red lips gently opened. "Thank you." Hong Ling's heart suddenly trembled. For so many years, Wan had always hated him from the bottom of her heart. No matter how much he had done, she had never heard those two words. "Don't misunderstand," Hong Wan continued when she saw Hong Ling's eyes move slightly. "I'm only thanking you because you protected me earlier. I'm afraid that I'll never be able to forgive you for what happened back then." How could the grief of losing his mother be easily forgiven? Otherwise, wouldn't my mother have lost her life in vain? I know. Hong Ling smiled bitterly. "Even if you don't forgive me, I will use my life to make it up to you." Hong Wan wanted to say something, but the words that were at the tip of her tongue did not come out. She took one last look at Hong Ling, then turned around and walked out. Behind her, Hong Ling's gaze followed her figure until she disappeared from his sight. Mississippi. As soon as Hong Ling stepped out of the living room, a figure landed in front of her. He cupped his fists and said, "We have found the whereabouts of the person you asked us to find." "What?" Hong Wan was delighted. "Where's the Ghost Emperor?" "Central Province, Withered Dragon Town." "All right, I understand. I'll go find Yin Luofeng now and tell her this good news." At this moment, in the Xingtian restaurant, the originally lively restaurant was completely silent. The customers eating in the restaurant were all dumbfounded as they looked at the lovely girl who was sweeping away the food on the table in front of them. They were so shocked that they could not speak. Chapter 1358. They couldn't imagine how such a cute girl could wolf down her food. How could her small stomach contain so much food? "Eat slowly, don't choke." Little Mo frowned, not forgetting to remind Lin Ruabai. Even after the table was in a mess, Lin Ruabai still wasn't satisfied. She rubbed her stomach and looked at Yin Luofeng pitifully. "Master, I'm still hungry." 3 black lines appeared on Little Mo's forehead. She looked at Lin Ruabai speechlessly. "You've eaten so much, and it's still not enough? My master's money isn't for you to spend like this, you wastrel." If it was the Lin Ruabai from before she had her memories, she would definitely tease Little Mo a little. But now, she only pouted her lips in dissatisfaction. Her bright eyes were filled with a pleading look. She looked so wrong that it made one's heart ache. At this time, in the restaurant, there were a few guards sitting at a table. The guards heard Lin Ruabai's words and couldn't help but look at her. "This little girl is not bad. If we can bring her back to the young master, he might raise our positions." Recently, Ling Chun had been depressed. Now that they saw such a cute girl, how could they not have designs on her? Moreover, the young master liked this kind of girl who looked pure and flawless. Wasn't Xiachu like this too? I think the girl in white is even more beautiful. She's a rare beauty. It's not just rare in the human world. Such a beauty probably doesn't even exist in the heavens. Unfortunately, the girl in white is holding a child. That child must be her son. She even has a son, so she's definitely not pure. Such a woman is not good enough for the young master. Sigh. Another guard sighed with some regret. I wonder who is so lucky to marry such a stunning beauty. How good would it be if our young master had such a beauty? Can those men compare to our young master? These guards of the North Continent Prefecture, because of their low status, did not follow Ling Chun to the East Continent Prefecture. They also did not follow Ling Li to the Continent Lord's Mansion. Because of this, they did something that they would regret for the rest of their lives. "Master," Lin Rubai said shyly, "when I passed by a street, I smelled a very fragrant scent. Can I know?" Little Amo didn't wait for Lin Ruabai to finish before answering for Yin Luofeng. Yin Luofeng glanced at Little Amo. "Go with her. I have something to do later." "All right." Little Mo lowered his head helplessly with a depressed expression. Fire. Let's go. After saying this, Yin Luofeng stood up and walked out of the restaurant. She hadn't seen Hu Li for a long time, and she didn't know how he and Wu were doing. So, she wanted to take this opportunity to take a look. Hey! Seeing Yin Luofeng leave, Little Mo turned to Lin Ruobai and said unhappily, Where are you going? I'll go with you. Lin Ruobai blinked lightly, curiously sizing up the young man standing in front of him. She smiled brightly and reached out to pinch Little Mo's cheeks. When Little Mo wasn't paying attention, she moved closer to him and planted a kiss on his cheeks. Little big brother, you're really good looking. I like you. Boom. Like a bolt of lightning, Little Mo's body stiffened. He was dumbfounded, as if he couldn't believe that this crazy girl, Lin Ruobai, would dare to kiss him. Chapter 1359. Oh no, his first kiss was gone. However, when he finally recovered from this feeling, he found that the girl who had just been standing in front of him had disappeared on the bustling street. Lin Ruobai had only taken 2 steps when she was stopped by several guards. She blinked innocently and stared at the people in front of her in confusion. Why are you stopping me? He, a slightly older guard, chuckled and said with a fake smile, Little girl, we see that you're very cute and want to treat you to a meal. I wonder if you're willing to come with us? Lin Ruobai's eyes lit up and her face lit up with a bright smile. Her 2 canine teeth were exposed under the sun and she looked extremely cute. All right. The guards looked at each other. A foodie like Lin Ruobai was easy to abduct and sell. Little girl, let's go. As long as you serve our young master well, you can eat and drink with us in the future, unlike your poor master who doesn't even give you enough to eat. Lin Ruobai suddenly stopped in her tracks. Her cheeks puffed up, and she glared at the guard who had insulted Yin Luofeng. Don't speak ill of master. You have to apologize. The guard's face stiffened. You want me to apologize? Yes, you must apologize if you speak ill of master. Otherwise, I won't go with you. Food was not as important as master. For master, she could give up food. You'd better apologize quickly. The older guard poked him and said, Don't cause trouble. After all, this was the territory of the East Continent, and they could not take the little girl away by force. If the little girl did not want to go with them, there was nothing they could do. The guard who had insulted Yin Luofeng blushed and said unwillingly, I'm sorry. When they reached the North Continent Prefecture, he would teach them a lesson. Miss, can we go now? Oh yes, I haven't asked for your name. Master said that my name is Lin Ruobai. Oh, then what's your master's name? Yin Luofeng. Yin Luofeng? The guards looked at each other. They felt that the name was very familiar, as if they had heard it somewhere before. At the same time, in a small wooden hut, Yin Luofeng saw Hu Li and the little boy sitting in a daze at the door from afar. An imperceptible light flashed across her eyes. The instant Hu Li raised his head, he also saw Yin Luofeng appear in front of him. His eyes lit up, and he hurriedly stood up, madly rushing towards the young girl in front of him. But just as he was about to rush in front of Yin Luofeng and open his arms to hug her, the little tree suddenly raised its head and giggled. Just as he finished laughing, countless vines sprang up and firmly wrapped around Hu Li's body. Yin Luofeng, I've missed you to death. Do you know how bored I was when you weren't around? Hu Li's eyes were filled with resentment. That gaze was as if Yin Luofeng had done something that would incur the wrath of the heavens. I'm here to inform you that we'll be leaving the East Continent in 2 days. Really? Hu Li's eyes lit up. That's great. These few days in the East Continent, I've been on tenterhooks, afraid that I'll become that lunatic Hong Wan's punching bag. Do you know how many people were beaten up by her back in the academy? Now, all the students in the academy feel fear whenever they see her. Chapter 1360. Yin Luofeng listened attentively to Hu Li's words and nodded. Let me tell you a piece of unfortunate news. Hong Wan will be leaving with me. Crack! Yin Luofeng heard the sound of his heart breaking. Hu Li's smile froze at the corner of his mouth. He asked in disbelief, Are you joking with me? You want to take that lunatic with you? Do you think that I'm joking? Yin Luofeng raised his brows and asked. Hu Li's expression was filled with despair. I'm finished. Traveling with this lunatic is equivalent to taking my life. You sold yourself to me for 10 years. It's too late to regret it now. Yin Luofeng gently raised the corners of his lips. She loved to see this foxman's expression of despair. Master. Just then, Xiao Mo's voice rang out from behind Yin Luofeng. Yin Luofeng raised his brows and turned around. When he saw that Xiao Mo was alone, he paused and asked, "You're alone? Where's Xiao Bai?" "Master, Xiao Mo is missing." Xiao Mo's voice sounded a little bashful when he thought of Xiao Bai's kiss. That was his first kiss after all. He had only managed to recover from his shock with great difficulty, but by the time he had regained his senses, Xiao Bai had already disappeared. Xiao Bai may not have a complete mind, but it won't be easy to hurt her. My only worry is that she will be deceived by others. Don't worry, Master. I have already instructed Xiao Bai that if anyone tries to take off her clothes, they must be a bad person, so she has to protect her chastity. Xiao Mo grinned at Yin Luofeng as if he was asking for a reward. Based on Xiao Bai's state of mind, she certainly does not understand the relationship between a man and a woman. He had only instructed her to be careful to prevent Xiao Bai from being deceived by other men. Yin Luofeng glanced at Xiao Mo. "Did you tell her not to leave with strangers?" Xiao Mo's expression froze, and he scratched his head. "I forgot. Let's go. We'll talk after we find Xiao Bai." Yin Luofeng's evil eyes swept across Xiao Mo's handsome face as he spoke. "I'll deal with you when we get back." Seeing that Yin Luofeng was about to leave, little Mo quickly followed behind her and nagged, "Master, why is little White so disobedient? I was just distracted for a moment, and then she disappeared. This won't do. When she comes back, I'll teach her a good lesson, lest she gets kidnapped and sold." In the courtyard, a few guards sneakily walked in with a cute girl. When they saw that no one was guarding outside, they hurriedly brought the girl to the storeroom. The guard who had insulted Yin Luofeng looked at his companions and coughed dryly. He cleared his throat and said, "Help me guard the door. I need to teach this girl a lesson so she knows how to serve the young master." "Serve?" Lin Ruobai blinked. "I don't want to be a maid." When the guards heard the soft voice, they looked at each other and smiled. "Don't worry, we're not asking you to be a maid. We're here to give you a life of luxury. From now on, you can have whatever you want." The guard grabbed Lin Ruobai's arm and pulled her into the storeroom. Lin Ruobai walked in, and what she saw was a mess. Her bright eyes were filled with confusion as she turned to look at the guard. Chapter 1361. Where are the delicacies? "Ha!" The guard laughed sinisterly. "Young lady, if you want to enjoy the delicacies, you can only use your body as an exchange. Don't worry, my young master is very gentle. If you can win his favor, there will be countless delicacies waiting for you." At the mention of delicacies, Lin Ruobai's eyes lit up again. "Really? Then how can I get the delicacies?" "Take off your clothes first. I'll check if you're still a virgin for my young master." Lin Ruobai did not understand what being a virgin meant, but she understood. The guard in front of her wanted her to take off her clothes. "No, little big brother said that I can't let anyone take off my clothes. Anyone who wants to take off my clothes is a bad person." Lin Ruobai bit her lip and took 2 steps back. "Young lady, don't be afraid. My young master will definitely treat you well." The guard's smile became even more sinister as he approached Lin Ruobai. At this moment, the guard, who was in the middle of his excitement, did not notice the red light in the young lady's eyes. "Get lost!" Lin Ruobai bellowed as he slapped the guard across the face. Smack! The guard's head spun rapidly like a top under the slap. Thud! In the end, his neck could not bear the weight of his head and rolled down, blood splattering all over the ground. "Dead?" Lin Ruobai was clearly shocked. She looked at her hand, her eyes filled with grievance. I didn't do it on purpose. He couldn't take it and died on his own. It has nothing to do with me. Also, little big brother said that if anyone molests me, I'll kill him. So I didn't do anything wrong." Although she said this, Lin Ruobai's eyes were filled with tears, and her face was pale. She looked at the decapitated corpse in front of her with fear. Her body curled up in a corner, trembling. Outside the door, The remaining two guards felt that something was wrong. Logically speaking, there should be no movement in the storeroom, but it was unusually quiet. Should we go in and take a look? The two of them looked at each other, feeling uneasy. However, just as they were about to push the door open, a loud bang came from the front, causing the ground to shake a few times. A young girl dressed in white walked in from outside. She evilly looked around and said in a cold voice, "Tell Ling Chun to get the hell out here." Ling Li and his son had already heard the commotion. When Ling Li saw the girl in white standing at the door, his anger surged. "Yin Luofeng, what are you trying to do?" Yin Luofeng looked at Ling Chun. "I heard that your Northern Continent's guards captured my disciple." "Yin Luofeng, don't slander me." Ling Chin's anger soared to the heavens, his face ashen. "I don't even know who your disciple is. How could I send people to capture her? I'm no longer bothering Hong Wan. What else do you want? Do you need to use such a lame excuse to get back at me?" Ling Li frowned. Hearing his son's words, he already understood that the girl in front of him was the person pretending to be Hong Wan's man. "I'll only give you one chance. Hand over my disciple. Otherwise, even if my soul is destroyed, I'll make your Northern Continent go to hell with me." The girl's eyes were filled with arrogance. Her cold eyes fell on Ling Chun, and she said expressionlessly, "Huh." Ling Li coldly laughed and looked at Yin Luofeng disdainfully. "I'm the Northern Continent's continent lord. You're just a new Saint King. Why do you have to speak to me?" Chapter 1362. Indeed, Yin Luofeng had just become a Saint King and could not be compared to Ling Li. But, as long as she could save Xiaobai, she had nothing to fear even if it cost her life. "Father," Ling Chun suppressed the anger in his heart and said, "She has a good relationship with Hong Wan. If you do anything to her, the East Continent Prefecture will definitely help you. So leave this matter to me." After saying this, Ling Chun stepped forward and said calmly, "Yin Luofeng, I, Ling Chun, can tell you that I did not take your disciple. You came to the wrong place. I can also let you search this residence. If you can't find your disciple, then you must apologize to me. If you find her, you can do whatever you want with the people of the Northern Continent." However, just as Ling Chun finished speaking, two guards hurriedly walked over. When they saw Yin Luofeng standing in front of Ling Chun, a layer of cold sweat appeared on their foreheads. They had not taken Lin Ruabai for long. Why did her master come looking for them so quickly? Unfortunately, even if she came looking for them, it did not matter. Could the forces of the Northern Continent not deal with these two women? "Master," little Emo suddenly said, "I remember these two people. When we were in the restaurant, they kept staring at Xiaobai and whispering. Because of the distance and the noise in the restaurant, I did not hear what they were talking about. But since they are the guards of the Northern Continent Prefecture, Xiaobai's disappearance must have been caused by them." In an instant, everyone's eyes turned to the two guards. Ling Li's eyes were dignified as he asked coldly, "What happened?" "Sir Continent Lord," the older guard wiped the cold sweat off his forehead and said, This is what happened. We saw that young master has been depressed recently, so we brought back a woman to offer to young master. Moreover, that woman is willing. If you don't believe us, you can ask her." Since Lin Ruabai agreed to go with them, it proved that she intended to use her body to exchange for delicious food. "I say, young lady." Thinking of this, the old guard raised his head and looked at Yin Luofeng. "You treated your disciple harshly and didn't give her enough to eat. We really pitied her, so we brought her back. Moreover, we didn't force her, she was willing." "Nonsense." Little Mo was furious and rushed over to teach the guard a lesson. Who knew that Yin Luofeng would suddenly reach out and stop him? "Where's she?" Yin Luofeng's voice was very low, and it was not hard to hear the murderous intent in it. "Where's Whitey?" At this moment, little Imo suddenly recalled the scene from back then. In the past, in order to deal with Yin Luofeng, there was a clan that captured Whitey. In the end, they completely angered Yin Luofeng, and he slaughtered them all. This time, the North Continent Prefecture would not be able to exist for long. Ling Chun understood everything. He said mockingly, "Your disciple is so debauched, and you still dare to come to my residence to ask for him? If I, Ling Chun, Want a woman, she will come with a wave of my hand. Even if that disciple of yours came to me, I might not be interested. Boom. Murderous intent surged from Yun Luofeng's body as she shouted coldly, "Little M.O." In an instant, little M.O. appeared in front of Ling Chun like a ghost. His speed was too fast, so fast that no one could react. Then, a hand slapped Ling Chen's face, and he was sent flying by the slap. Chapter 1363. I'll ask you one last time, where is Xiao Bai? The girl's killing intent surged. If you don't want to hand over Xiao Bai, then get out of the way. I'll find her myself. Ling Li's face was ashen. His tightly clenched fist was wrapped in a layer of valiant power. With a roar, he wanted to rush towards Yun Luofeng. At this moment, a domineering voice came from the void. Ling Li, if you dare touch my friend, the East Continent Prefecture will not let you off. Hong Wan, who was dressed in red, landed in front of Yun Luofeng. Her voice was loud, and it made Ling Li's figure stop. Hong Wan, you want to protect her against me? Ling Li's eyes narrowed, his tone threatening. Hong Wan put an arm on Yun Luofeng's shoulder and smiled. Yun Luofeng is my friend. Who do you think you are? Should I not protect her, but you? Looking at the girl in red in front of him, Yun Luofeng felt a warm feeling in his heart. Since she had come to find Ling Chun, she was prepared. Even if she could not defeat Ling Li, she was half confident that she could save Xiao Bai and escape. But under such circumstances, Hong Wan had come. For her, he would rather fall out with the North Continent Prefecture. How could she not be moved by such friendship? Yun Luofeng. Ling Li took a deep breath and looked at Yun Luofeng coldly. You'd better not leave the East Continent for the rest of your life. Otherwise, I will kill you. Yun Luofeng smiled. That depends on whether you have the chance. Oomph. Ling Li snorted and turned to look at the two trembling guards. Take her to see her disciple. The two guards' eyes were filled with fear. Only now did they remember why the name Yun Luofeng was so familiar. Wasn't Yun Luofeng the name of Hong Wan's man? But why did no one tell them that Yun Luofeng was a woman? Hong Wan, you're protecting the wrong person this time. Ling Chen's eyes darkened as he said in a low voice, It's Yun Luofeng's disciple who is greedy for power and wants to seduce me. She has the face to come here and ask for me, and yet you're protecting her? Hong Wan pretended not to hear Ling Chen's mockery and followed Yun Luofeng. Bang! The noisy storeroom was kicked open. Ling Chun and the others, who had been pleased with themselves, were dumbfounded when they saw the scene in the storeroom. The two guards who had abducted Lin Ruobai almost fainted from fright. They rejoiced in their hearts. If they hadn't been able to resist pushing open the door, what would have been waiting for them? Master, little brother. Lin Ruobai raised her head and saw the crowd at the door. She let out a cry and rushed towards little M.O. Bang. Little M.O. was almost knocked over by Lin Ruobai. She quickly stabilized herself and gently comforted Lin Ruobai. It's all right. Master and I are here. Boo-hoo, I killed someone. I didn't do it on purpose. I didn't expect him to be so weak. I just gave him a light slap and he died. I really didn't mean to kill him. It was just a light slap. In the end, the guard's head was sent flying. Ling Li and the others had ugly expressions on their faces. Was this little girl looking down on the guards of the North Continent Prefecture? And she dared to say that the guard was weak? Don't be afraid. You didn't do anything wrong. Little M.O. helplessly patted Lin Ruobai's back and looked at Yun Luofeng for help. Chapter 1364. He really didn't know how to comfort Lin Ruobai, who was like this Xiao Bai. Yun Luofeng walked in front of Lin Ruobai, his palm gently caressing her head, and said softly, This is a world where the strong prey on the weak. If you don't kill people, people will definitely kill you. Thus, if anyone bullies you in the future, just kill them. I will take care of the aftermath for you. Really? Lin Ruobai raised her head, her teary eyes gazing at Yun Luofeng. Master is definitely right. If anyone bullies me in the future, then I will kill them. A good child had to listen to her master. If her master said that killing was right, then what harm was there in killing them all? Master, These two people also lied to me. Lin Ruobai pointed at the two trembling guards. They tricked me into coming here, and even wanted to take off my clothes. Can I kill them? Yin Luofeng nodded yes. Then, I will kill them. Lin Ruobai smiled. This smile was very bright, innocent, and pure. No one would have thought that the cruel words just now had come from the mouth of this pure and flawless young girl. Stop! Ling Li flew into a rage. He didn't think that someone would actually dare to kill his people in front of him. Thinking of this, he quickly rushed towards Lin Ruobai, the aura on his body surging, rumbling loudly. Boom! Yin Luofeng suddenly flashed, standing in front of Lin Ruobai, and raised his hand to meet Ling Li's attack. In an instant, a powerful force penetrated her body, causing her to instantly take a few steps back. A mouthful of blood almost gushed out of her throat, but she swallowed it back down. Yin Luofeng, Hong Luan shouted loudly. Master! Little Mo and Fire's expressions also changed unknowingly. Ling Li's attack was too fast, and Yin Luofeng's speed was also very agile, to the point that they were unable to react. Compared to these people's worries, Ling Li's eyes were filled with shock. Impossible! This woman is only a person who has just entered the Saint King stage. With her strength, she will definitely die under my palm. Why did she only take a few steps back? This is impossible. At the same time, a bloody hole appeared in the chests of the two guards. Lin Ruobai calmly withdrew her blood-stained fists. She stuck out her tender tongue and licked the bright red blood. Her appearance was full of evil, no longer as innocent and pure as before. Master? As Lin Ruobai turned around, she saw Yin Luofeng's pale face. She started, then hurried to his side. Master, are you hurt? I'm fine. Yin Luofeng shook his head and raised his head slightly. Lin Ruobai's black eyes gradually turned bloodshot. She clenched her fists tightly and stared coldly at Ling Li. You injured master, I won't let you off. Little White. Seeing Xiao Bai's state, Little Mo's expression changed. She quickly rushed forward and hugged the young girl tightly. Your soul hasn't fully recovered yet, so you can't use too much power. Otherwise, you'll go berserk. Let me go. Boom. Lin Ruobai's body exploded with a powerful force, forcing little Mo to take a few steps back. Perhaps little Mo didn't expect Lin Ruobai's strength to be so strong. He looked at her in shock. The power of her bloodline is actually this strong? Fortunately, she is Master's disciple. Otherwise, she would definitely become Master's enemy. Little Mo was very glad that Yin Luofeng had accepted Lin Ruobai. Chapter 1365. Little White, step down. Yin Luofeng also understood the consequences of Lin Ruobai forcefully using his strength. She frowned and ordered. Lin Ruobai's body stiffened as he looked at Yin Luofeng with a wronged expression. Master, Little White, your soul is incomplete. Remember my words. You can't use too much power in the future. Little White was an obedient child, especially when it came to listening to his master. Even though she was so angry that she wanted to kill someone, she still retracted her power and stood beside Yin Luofeng, feeling wronged. Ling Li, you hurt my friend. One day, I will repay you for everything that happened today. Hong Wan's cold eyes swept past Ling Li, walked in front of Yin Luofeng, and supported her body. Also, I will let my father settle the score with you later. Yin Luofeng, I will help you back to rest. If it was the Hong Wan of the past, she would definitely have impulsively gone to find Ling Li to settle the score. But now her mind was calm. She knew that she and Yin Luofeng were not Ling Li's match, so there was no point in staying here. It was better to go back and find her father to help Yin Luofeng vent his anger. Yin Luofeng didn't say anything and allowed Hong Luan to help her out. After she left the courtyard, she ordered, Fire, bring the little tree and Little White back first. All right. Fire nodded. She looked at Yin Luofeng, then picked up the little tree, pulled Lin Ruobai, and shot into the sky in a flash. At this moment, no one could see that the little tree's black eyes were filled with anger. His eyes didn't look like a child's, but more like an adult's. Master, you used the power of the divine grimoire again. Little Mo curled his lips and said, this power was naturally not the kind that Yun Luofeng had used to save Yin Xiao. Back then, in order to save Yin Xiao, she had forcefully broken through, which had led to serious consequences. And this time, although she had also increased her strength because she did not use that power to break through, her soul would at most be weakened for 10 days to half a month. Poochie. Yin Luofeng finally spat out a mouthful of blood that he had been suppressing at the back of his throat. She smiled faintly and said, is this the power of the continent masters? One day, I will be above them. Master, Little Mo said angrily. Little Mo, I know you're worried about me. Yin Luofeng looked at the youth beside him. But I don't regret it. As long as I can make Xiaobai happy, I won't regret anything. If she hadn't borrowed the power of the divine grimoire, she probably wouldn't have been able to withstand Ling Li's attack. Even if she didn't die, she would have been severely injured. Xiao Mo, don't tell Xiaobai about this. Even if that girl's mind isn't complete, she's not an idiot. I don't want her to worry too much. Yin Luofeng smiled. Besides, don't forget that I'm a doctor. My weak illness will quickly recover. The two of them spoke through soul transmissions, so Hong Wan, who was beside them, couldn't hear their conversation. By the way, Hong Wan seemed to remember something and said, you asked me to look for the little boy who was with Hu Li, but I couldn't find any information about him. He shouldn't be from the East Continent. As for the Ghost Emperor, I've already found out where he is. Yin Luofeng was startled. He stopped and turned to look at Hong Wan. Where is he? The Middle State, Withered Dragon Town. The Middle State, Withered Dragon Town. Yin Luofeng muttered to himself for a moment. Then go back and prepare today. We'll leave tomorrow. No, Hong Wan frowned. You haven't recovered from your injuries. You can't leave tomorrow. Chapter 1366. My injury isn't a big deal. It won't affect my journey. Yin Luofeng narrowed his eyes as a light flashed across them. Yin Xiao must be waiting for me in the Middle State. No matter what, I must go to his side. Hong Wan did not say anything else in the end when she saw the determination on the young girl's face. She only silently followed Yin Luofeng's side as a smile slowly formed on her beautiful face. In the Continent Lord's residence, when Hong Ling found out that her daughter had been humiliated by Ling Li, she flew into a rage and immediately brought people to settle the score with Ling Li and his father. Even though Xiao Bai had killed 3 of the Northern Continent's guards, they were in the wrong. As such, facing Hong Ling's fury, Ling Li could not say anything and could only allow Hong Ling to demand compensation. Moreover, this was the Eastern Continent's territory, and most of his subordinates were not here. If he fought with Hong Ling here, a huge battle would be unavoidable. Moreover, it would result in a lose-lose situation. In contrast to Ling Li, who was holding back, Ling Chen's fury surged, and he stared at Hong Ling. He tightly clenched his fists, a vicious look in his eyes. One day, he would topple the Eastern Continent and make Hong Ling and her daughter kneel in front of him and beg for mercy. Otherwise, he would not be able to quell his anger. After a while, the furious Hong Ling let go of Ling Li and his father. She flicked her sleeves and led the people from the Eastern Continent's prefecture away. Ling Chun gritted his teeth and glared in the direction that Hong Ling had left. Dad, we're just going to let him insult us? And we're going to compensate Hong Wan for being scared? Ling Chun was incredibly dissatisfied. His father was the continent lord of the Northern Continent, and yet Hong Ling did not give him any face. This is the Eastern Continent, and adding on the fact that we were in the wrong, we definitely won't have a good ending against Hong Ling. Ling Li narrowed his eyes, and a dangerous light flashed in his eyes. Son, you must remember that the Northern Continent and the Eastern Continent will never be able to coexist. If you find an opportunity, you definitely won't let Hong Wan off. Humiliating him would require a painful price. Dad, I want Hong Wan to kneel in front of me and beg for mercy. And that woman called Yin Luofeng, they'll all die horrible deaths. At this moment, the guilt and remorse in Ling Chen's heart towards Hong Wan had long since disappeared, replaced by boundless anger. Ling Li patted Ling Chen's shoulder and said, "Let's go back to the northern continent now. When we return to the mansion, I'll immediately send you to the forbidden area to train. After you leave the forbidden area, your strength will increase." "Father, are we not going to care about Hong Wan and Yin Luo Feng?" Ling Chun stared in surprise. "Didn't you say that you would kill Hong Wan and Yin Luo Feng as soon as they leave the eastern continent?" Ling Li shook his head. "Compared to them, it's more important for you to raise your strength. Once you've raised your strength, no one will be able to stop you from taking revenge. Furthermore, I'll leave my men in the eastern continent. If Hong Wan and Yin Luo Feng really leave, our men will kill them. As for you, there's no need for you to stay." "I understand." Ling Chen nodded, his eyes filled with determination. "Hong Wan looks down on me because I'm weaker than her. When I can step into the forbidden area, I will trample Hong Wan under my feet and let her understand how great of a loss it is to lose me." Even if he had Xia Chu, Hong Wan did not have a right to reject him. What man could guarantee that he would only have one woman in his life? Why would she look down on him? Chapter 1367. It was night. The moonlight was like water. A burst of giggling came from outside the door. Ling Chen's eyes, which were pretending to be asleep, suddenly opened. He looked towards the door and shouted, "Who is it?" Under the hazy night, a small figure stood in the shadow of the moon. This small person seemed to have just learned to walk and was unable to stand steadily. However, his evil laughter was like a hungry ghost that had crawled out from hell, causing Ling Chen's body to tremble. Just when Ling Chen wanted to see who it was, with a whoosh, countless vines occupied the entire room, instantly binding Ling Chen's body to the wall. "Hold!" Before he could finish a word, a vine full of thorns grew from the side and instantly pierced into his mouth. Bright red blood flowed out from his mouth, and it was so painful that Ling Chen almost cried. He wanted to call for help, but he couldn't even say a single word and could only let out whimpering sounds. "Pa! Pa pa pa!" The vines fiercely whipped Ling Chen's body, adding on the fact that Ling Chen had been pampered since he was young, and his skin was soft and tender. In a short moment, his skin had already split open, and blood was dripping out. Under the night, the fat baby clapped his hands and giggled, as if the scene in the room was exceptionally interesting. On his white and cute little face, there was an innocent smile. Xiao Shu, a red dress, jumped down from the tree and stood beside the fat baby. "We should go, or else Master will find out that the two of us are missing." The fat baby curled his small mouth, as if he was still not satisfied, but he still obediently allowed Fire to hold his small hand, and gradually left the courtyard. After they left, the barrier around them also disappeared. When the two maids passed by, they heard the pa-pa-pa sounds coming from the door, and their faces and ears turned red. Young Master's energy is really vigorous, but ever since Lady Xia Chu was chased out, young Master has not had any luck with other women. I wonder who is so lucky tonight. Let's not disturb young Master, in case we ruin young Master's mood. As the voices became further and further away, Ling Chun, who was in the room, wanted to cry, but no tears came out. He wanted to keep the two maids, but in the end, he could only let out whimpering sounds. In reality, there was a reason why the two maidservants had such a reaction. When Xia Chu was still around, she and Ling Chun would make a lot of noise every night, as if they were afraid that others wouldn't know that they were full of energy. At first, the maidservant thought that something had happened and rushed into the room, who knew that what she saw was an unbearable scene. From then on, no matter how loud the commotion in Ling Chen's room was, no one dared to take a single step inside, especially since these two maidservants were women who had yet to mature, so they couldn't tell where the commotion in the room was coming from. If there was a woman here, she would be able to hear that there was only the sound of pa-pa-pa in Ling Chen's room, but there were no sounds of a woman moaning. Therefore, it was not until the next day that the people of the North Continent Prefecture found their young master lying on the ground, half dead. His skin and flesh were torn, and blood was flowing from his mouth. He looked like a bloody man. Because of what had happened to the Northern Continent Palace, Ling Li had sent out all of his experts to find the culprit, as well as to evacuate with Ling Chun. He no longer had the leisure to deal with Yin Luo Feng. Chapter 1368. As for why Ling Li did not suspect that it was done by the people of the Eastern Continent Prefecture, that was because last night his own son had been beaten up so badly, but he did not hear anything. There were very few people in the entire continent who could do this. With Hong Ling's power, if he appeared, it was impossible for him to not notice anything. Therefore, Ling Li eliminated the suspicion of the Eastern Continent Prefecture at this moment. In the Eastern Continent Prefecture, Yin Luofeng had already heard of Ling Li's tragic situation. She raised her eyebrows and looked at the two people standing in front of her. "Shouldn't you give me an explanation? Last night, where did you two go?" Fire lowered her head, not daring to look into Yin Luofeng's eyes. Her fingers nervously rubbed the corner of her clothes, looking like she was admitting her mistake. "Mother." The sapling stretched out his chubby little hand and gently stroked Yin Luofeng's face. His eyes were clear, as bright as the afternoon sun. "They bullied you. The ones who bullied you are all bad people." Yin Luofeng reached out and hugged the chubby baby in front of him. He sighed helplessly. "Fire, sapling, don't act on your own in the future without my orders." For the Northern Continent to have the power it has today, they must have a trump card in their hands. If you fall into their hands, won't I have to save you? Hearing this, Fire's eyes lit up. "Master, don't worry. When the little tree and I were moving, Xiao Mo set up a barrier for us. With that barrier, Ling Li will not be able to feel us." Little Mo, who was originally gloating at the side, heard Fire's words, and his expression immediately changed. However, it was too late for him to stop it. Fire had already completely betrayed him. "Oh!" Yin Luofeng raised his eyebrows and looked at little Mo with a smile that was not a smile. "The one who reported Fire and the sapling to me was you. I didn't expect you to be involved as well." "What?" Fire flew into a rage. He put his hands on his hips and stared angrily at little Mo. "You exposed me and the sapling to the master?" "This I can explain." Little Mo wiped the cold sweat off his forehead and wanted to explain. However, before he could finish his sentence, Xiao Shu lifted Xiao Mo up and gave her a good beating. Although Xiao Shu had only been born for a year, his mind was equivalent to that of a 5- or 6-year-old child because he was not human. Therefore, when he heard that little Mo had betrayed them, his little face turned red with anger. He seemed to have forgotten who had taken care of him. Little Mo was very miserable. Last night, it was because Yin Luofeng had asked him where the fire had gone that he spoke too much, causing him to suffer such a calamity today. If he had known this would happen, he would have kept his mouth shut last night and said nothing. When Hong Wan arrived, she saw little Mo being hung on the tree and beaten up by little tree. She was so shocked that her jaw almost dropped. "Yin Luofeng, this guy is your son?" Yin Luofeng pondered for a moment and said, "No, but he called me mother. I thought he was your son, so valiant." Hong Wan stroked her chin and looked at Yin Luofeng with a smile. "Yin Luofeng, I originally thought that if we left this place this time, we would definitely be chased by the experts of the Northern Continent. Now that the Northern Continent Prefecture is in chaos because of Ling Chen's injury, I'm afraid they won't be able to care about us. So, let's take this opportunity to leave this place." Chapter 1369. She paused for a moment before she continued. "By the way, how are your injuries?" "It's nothing serious." Yin Luofeng stretched lazily and slowly rose to his feet. "Hong Wan, say goodbye to your father and we'll be leaving." Hong Wan's body stiffened. She lowered her eyelids and her lips curled into an exasperated smile. "Yin Luofeng, no matter how well my father treats me now, I can never forget how my mother died. Only when my mother comes back to life will I be able to forgive him from the bottom of my heart." Actually, Hong Ling's changes during this period of time had shaken Hong Wan's heart. The only thing that she had not forgiven him was her mother's death. Her mother's death had always been a thorn in her heart. If she did not remove it, she would never be able to forgive her for the rest of her life. Yin Luophone, do you think that the Yellow Springs exist in this world? Hong Wan raised her head and stared at the young girl. If the Yellow Springs exists, I will certainly go there and find my mother. Yin Luophone patted Hong Wan's shoulder, silently comforting her. After a long pause, she slowly said, I'll wait for you for an hour. We'll leave after an hour. All right. She did not know when she would be able to return, so she naturally bid farewell to her father. In the study, the man stood with his hands behind his back and his back towards the door. Perhaps he had sensed that Hong Wan was about to leave, so he had been feeling restless the entire day. Suddenly, a slender, lily-white hand pushed open the study door, and a beautiful woman dressed in red appeared at the door. Father, she called out softly, but there were many things she wanted to say. The middle-aged man's body stiffened, and he slowly turned around. His stern eyes only relaxed when he saw his daughter. Warner, I will wait here for you. I will wait for you to prove that you were right and I was wrong. Hong Wan nodded seriously. I will prove to you that I can make a name for myself without relying on any connections. Ha. Hong Ling laughed out loud. This is my Hong Ling's daughter. You will never disappoint me. All right, you, Yin Luophone, should go. This girl is not simple. Perhaps if you follow her, you will be able to make a name for yourself. When the father and daughter parted, neither of them brought up any sad topics. Hong Wan took one last look at the middle-aged man behind her before she turned and walked out of the study. After she left, the smile on the middle-aged man's face slowly disappeared. At that moment, he seemed to have aged a few decades, and his originally straight back gradually hunched down. Maybe I've done too many wrong things all these years, but the only thing I don't think I've done wrong is giving birth to this daughter. Warner, it doesn't matter if you hate me or blame me. I'll hand over the best of the Eastern continent to you. The entire study room responded to him with silence. Hong Wan walked out of the room, and tears suddenly flowed down her face. She wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes and looked at the tightly shut door behind her once again. Her expression slowly became determined. Father, after I've made some achievements, I'll definitely return in triumph. Yin Luophone was already waiting for Hong Wan at the door. When Hong Wan appeared, she didn't ask anything. She only said indifferently, since we've said our goodbyes, it's time for us to leave. Hong Wan pursed her lips and smiled. All right, Ling Continent, the Jun family. The middle-aged man sat on a chair in the study and looked at the book in his hands with a slight headache. He rubbed his throbbing temples and sighed. Where did Master and Ling run off to again? The two of them sure are carefree and unrestrained, but they left this huge Jun family for me to handle. Chapter 1370. Master. Suddenly, a hurried voice came from outside the study. Without waiting for a reply, the man burst through the door. The man's face was stern. What happened? How can you be so reckless? Master, the guard knelt on the ground. I just received a letter from a master of the East Continent. It is said that a young girl with the old master's jade token is passing through the East Continent. I wonder if she is the person the old master is looking for. What? The middle-aged man stood up, his face full of joy. Is this information accurate? By the way, the person with the jade token is a young girl. Logically speaking, the junior sister should not be so young. Could she be the junior sister's daughter? Quick! Go find the old patriarch. You must tell him this news. Perhaps he was too excited. The middle-aged man stood up, the joy on his face genuine. No one knew how much the master had missed the junior sister all these years. Back then, the master would not have entrusted the junior sister to someone else to take care of. When he solved the problem and went to look for the junior sister, he could not find any trace of her. Master, this is the letter from the East Continent. Also, this is the drawing of the jade token. The guard respectfully presented the letter to him. The middle-aged man scanned the letter, then spread the drawing of the jade token in his hand. His fingers caressed the drawing of the jade token, and he said with mixed feelings, The word June on the jade token was carved by the master himself. I recognized the master's handwriting. It seems that the jade token is not fake. By the way, did the master of the East Continent give the young girl a portrait? The guard shook his head. The East Continent only sent a letter and a drawing of the jade token. In fact, he did the right thing. He should not have sent the young girl's portrait. Otherwise, she would fall into the hands of someone with ulterior motives and be used to threaten the master. Now, it is enough to know that the master's daughter is still in this continent. We will meet again one day. The middle-aged man's voice was full of excitement. As soon as he finished speaking, he immediately sent the June family to find the old master's whereabouts. Middle continent. In a mansion, an old man in a white robe was playing chess with an old man opposite him. His eyes were bright and full of vigor. Standing beside the white-robed old man was a young girl brimming with spiritual energy. This young girl was about 16 or 17 years old. She didn't have a beauty that could cause the downfall of cities and empires, but she looked very comfortable. Her eyes seemed to speak, and they were as bright as the stars in the night sky. "Haha, I won again." The green-robed old man laughed out loud and placed the chess piece on the chessboard. He raised his head and looked at the white-robed old man. "Old man June, you seem to be in a bad mood recently. You can't even play chess well. What happened? Isn't it my disciple?" The white-robed old man smiled bitterly. "The June family has been searching for my whereabouts all over the continent recently. I reckon that my disciple wants to lay down his business. So, I took Linger to hide in your place. What do you think? After so many years, there's still no news of your daughter's whereabouts?" The green-robed old man frowned and asked. Grandpa June sighed and shook his head helplessly. "I have been looking for her for so many years, but I have not been able to find her. Do you think she is already gone?" Grandpa, hearing the old man's slightly sentimental words, the young girl beside him blinked her big bright eyes and said with a smile. Chapter 1371. Don't worry, Aunt is definitely still alive. It's just that we haven't found where she is hiding. Moreover, with Aunt's age, she must have given birth to children. When that time comes, Ling will have brothers and sisters. Grandpa June laughed out loud. "Forget about your brother. I prefer little girls. I do hope that June will give birth to a granddaughter for me." Compared to boys, Grandpa June preferred girls. If it was a boy, then wouldn't he be angered to death by his own disciple? Girls were still better. Ling was much more sensible than her father. She was also well-behaved and obedient. "Grandpa, you value girls more than boys." Ling playfully stuck out her tongue and said with a smile, "I still want to live for a few more years. What if I have a grandson who always angers me like your father?" Grandpa June trembled with anger when he thought of his stubborn disciple. If he had known earlier, he would have accepted a female disciple. The old man looked at the girl standing in front of Grandpa June, and a smile appeared on his old face. All these years, it was all thanks to Ling accompanying Grandpa June. Otherwise, even if he did not die from grief over not being able to see his daughter, he would still be depressed. "Grandpa," Ling eyes flickered a few times, and a bright smile appeared on her face. "Father sent so many people to look for you. Is there something wrong? What can he do? Isn't it just to return the June family to me? Since this June family still needs me to manage it, then why did I accept a disciple in the first place?" Grandpa June snorted coldly. "In any case, he is dreaming." The old man coughed twice and looked a little embarrassed. "Actually, you can train Ling to be the next generation successor. This girl's talent is not bad. Maybe her achievements in the future will be higher than her father's. That won't do. I still want this girl to accompany me for a few more years. Do you want my disciple to accompany me? What's the point of two men staring at each other every day?" Grandpa June rejected his good friend's suggestion. He did not want to face his disciple's face every day. "Grandpa Moo, Ling will only go back to be the successor after Ling has accompanied Grandpa to find my aunt," Ling said sensibly. The green-robed old man looked enviously at Grandpa June. "Grandpa, I really envy you for having such a sensible granddaughter. It seems that I should also accept a disciple, so that I won't be jealous of you every day. Although Ling was not of Grandpa June's blood, Grandpa June had long regarded her as his own granddaughter. Otherwise, he would not have doted on her so much, to the point of grooming her to be his successor. Come, come, come. Let us continue playing chess, Grandpa June laughed. By the way, there seems to be quite a number of people visiting your Tianhua city recently. What happened? Old Master Mu frowned slightly. I heard that there seems to be a person called the Ghost Emperor who obtained something called the Bodhi Heart. Once the Bodhi Heart is consumed, one will not die for 3 days. So many people are chasing after the Ghost Emperor for the Bodhi Heart. Bodhi Heart? Grandpa June was startled. I've heard of the Heart of Bodhi. Could it be that the Ghost Emperor is in Tianyu City? That's not the case. Mu Dong shook his head. The Ghost Emperor is in the Withered Dragon Town. If you want to go to the Withered Dragon Town, you will have to go through Tianyu City. However, the Ghost Emperor is very powerful. In order to prevent people from dying in vain, countless experts have held a trial in Tianyu City. Only those who pass the trial are qualified to go to the Withered Dragon Town. Other than them, no one else is allowed to go through Tianyu City. Chapter 1372. There's such a thing? Grandpa June was a little surprised. Humans die for wealth, and birds die for food. An ordinary man is innocent, but he gets into trouble because of his wealth. However, I'm very interested in this test. Oh, Mu Dong raised an eyebrow. You want to participate as well? Grandpa June shook his head. The Ghost Emperor was able to obtain the Heart of Bodhi. That is his own ability. What does it have to do with me? I just want to see how strong the people from the Central Continent are. Old Man Mu, don't you want to take in a disciple? Perhaps this is an opportunity. However, let me give you a piece of advice. Do not take in a person with a bad character. Ah, Mu Dong laughed. If you're interested, we can go and watch the test. As for taking in a disciple, that is something for the future. Clearly, the two old men scoffed at the idea of these people encircling the Ghost Emperor. However, they were more interested in the test. Tianyu City, on the bustling streets, everyone was discussing the matter of encircling the Ghost Emperor. Therefore, no one saw that at this moment, on the street, a young girl in white was coldly glancing at the crowd with her evil eyes. Master, Lin Ruobai blinked her adorable eyes and asked, "Who is the Ghost Emperor they are talking about?" Yin Luofeng lowered his head and gently stroked Lin Ruobai's head. He smiled slightly. Your Grandmaster. Oh, then I want to kill Grandmaster. Do I have to go and kill them? Lin Ruobai said this casually. It was as if killing someone was as simple as drinking water to her. No need. The most important thing now is to find your Grandmaster. It won't be too late to deal with them then. A cold light flashed in Yun Luofeng's eyes. A murderous intent spread from his eyes. Hong Wan, who was standing at the side, clicked her tongue. I remember back in the Western Continent, this man called the Ghost Emperor was hunted down by many experts of the Western Continent because of his wealth. I didn't expect that the same thing would happen again in the Central Continent. Hong Wan crossed her arms and smiled. However, the experts of the Central Continent are much stronger than those of the Western Continent. For example, there are only a few people in the Western Continent on the list. In the Central Continent, there are countless people on the list. So, Hong Wan paused and continued. Let Hu Li and Wu stay. It's not safe for them to follow. As for Lin Ruobai, this little girl had an extraordinary power in her body, so she definitely wouldn't have any problems protecting him. Hong Wan, what do you mean? Hu Li's expression changed on the spot. In any case, I've already broken through to Saint Ruler, so I have no problem protecting myself. Hong Wan glanced at him and smirked. You can protect yourself, but what about this child named Wu? The boy was clearly afraid of what was going to happen next. He opened his eyes wide and looked at Hu Li helplessly. Hu Li frowned. He now regretted bringing this child along. He was unable to help Yin Luofeng with anything, and instead had to supervise this child all day. Hu Li, you and Wu stay. Xiaobai, you stay as well. Master, Lin Ruobai bit his lip and looked at Yin Luofeng with teary eyes. I won't drag you down. I know. Yin Luofeng smiled. It's just that your soul hasn't fully recovered yet. I can't let you face this kind of battle. Once your body has fully recovered, you can become my greatest support. Do you understand? Chapter 1373. Lin Ruobai lowered her head. After a long time, she looked up and nodded. I'll listen to you, Master. But Master, you must find Grandmaster as soon as possible. I'll wait here for you. She was an obedient child. Since her master had asked her to stay, she would wait for his return. It must be said that the current Lin Ruobai was so obedient that it made one's heart ache for her. Even if she did not want to leave, Yin Luofeng would still listen to her and stay. Hong Wan, let's go. Yin Luofeng turned around and walked out of the city. Contrary to her wishes, she had just walked to the city gates when she was stopped by 2 guards. The city gate will not be open to the public for a few days. Please go back. What's the reason? Hong Wan asked coldly as she suppressed her anger. The guards did not even look at her and did not answer her question. Instead, someone beside her reminded her, Miss, don't you know that the road to Tianyue City has been sealed? If you want to pass through here, you will have to go through the city governor's assessment. What assessment? There are 2 types of assessment. One is martial arts, and the other is medical skills. Anyone who passes the assessment will be able to leave with their team tomorrow. Therefore, you should not force your way out of the city. Otherwise, you will be hunted down by the powerful cultivators of Tianyue City. Hong Wan frowned. She turned to Yin Luofeng and said, Yin Luofeng, no matter what decision you make, I will support you. If you force your way out of the city, I'm afraid you will not be delayed for just 1 night. She was confident that she could escape. But what about Hu Li and the others? And Hong Wan? How could she let Hong Wan and the others take the risk with her? Furthermore, even if she chose to force her way out, she would have to face the pursuit of many powerful cultivators. By then, she would not be delayed for just 1 night. Where will the assessment be held? Yin Luofeng looked at the passerby and asked, Miss, what assessment would you like to take? The martial arts assessment will be held at the battlefield, while the medical assessment will be held at the medical hall. Yin Luofeng, I do not have medical skills, so I choose the battlefield. Hong Wan raised her brows when she heard the passerby's explanation. All right, I will head to the medical hall. After saying this, Yin Luofeng looked at the passerby again. Please lead the way for us. Of course, this passerby was willing to lead the way for the 2 beauties. He smiled and made a welcoming gesture, then sent Yin Luofeng and Hong Wan to the medical hall and the martial field. At this moment, the medical hall was a boiling cauldron of voices. Countless people stopped in their tracks when faced with a difficult test. Only a few people refused to believe it and insisted on solving this difficult problem. Grandpa Jun and Mu Dong walked in from the door. Ling followed closely behind Grandpa Jun from the start. The people in the medical hall did not recognize Grandpa Jun, but they knew Mu Dong's identity. Even the city lord of Tianyue City had to curry favor with him. Therefore, when they saw him, the people in the medical hall immediately went up to him. Old Master Mu, why are you here? Mu Dong's expression was indifferent. I'm just here to observe your assessment. By the way, I heard that you've come up with an age-old problem for this assessment. Is there anyone who can answer this question? Old Master Mu, you must be joking. How could anyone possibly answer such a difficult question? The city lord's order is that anyone who can answer even the slightest bit of it will pass. Chapter 1374. Mu Dong nodded his head slightly. He had also heard of this age-old problem. It would be impossible for those people to answer this age-old problem. If it was just a fragment, there might still be hope. Ling, Grandpa Jun smiled as he looked at the young girl beside him and said, all these years, I've been nurturing your medical skills. As of now, your medical skills have reached the pinnacle of perfection. So, you can take a stroll around this medical hall. A bright smile appeared on Ling Er's face. Grandpa, it is enough for Ling Er to accompany you. Do you dislike Ling Er? Do you not want Ling Er to serve by your side? Ha! Grandpa Jun laughed out loud. You little girl, you sure are weird. You've been accompanying this old man every day. Grandpa is afraid that you'll be too bored. Mudong looked at the old man and the young girl enviously. The jealousy in his eyes was so thick that it could be sliced open. At that moment, a commotion suddenly came from the front. Little girl, do you even know medicine? Your answer has made a mistake. I think you are just pretending to know when you don't. Don't waste time here. Hurry up and give up your position to us. The medical hall steward heard the commotion behind him. He subconsciously wiped away the sweat on his forehead. Lord Mu, I will go and see what is going on. No need. Grandpa June raised his hand to stop the medical hall steward. Let's go and take a look. The medical hall steward did not recognize Grandpa June. He looked at Mudong with an inquiring gaze. Mudong smiled faintly. We will listen to Grandpa June. Let's go and see what is going on. There was a sea of people in front. Everyone was gathered around a rectangular table, pointing at it from time to time. In front of the table, a young girl in white held a brush in her hand. Her expression was calm. She did not even think, as she quickly wrote on a piece of paper. However, the surrounding people frowned and sneered at the young girl's answer. It was unknown when Grandpa June had walked through the crowd and arrived beside the young girl. At that moment, the surrounding noise seemed to have disappeared. He quietly stared at the contents that the young girl had written on the paper. Suddenly, Grandpa June let out a cry of surprise. The combination of the Bien K's gallbladder and the crane's breath grass can actually paralyze a person's body? This was the first time he had heard of it. Yin Luofeng had clearly noticed Grandpa June, who was standing beside her. She gave a rare reply. The Bien K's gallbladder has the effect of causing paralysis. However, the effect of the crane's breath grass is too strong. The effect of the crane's breath grass is to weaken its effect. Both are indispensable. Once one was missing, the patient would die immediately after taking the flat magpie gallbladder. So that's how it is. Grandpa June suddenly understood and nodded his head. I know quite a number of medicinal herbs that can paralyze a patient's body. However, each of them has a strong side effect. I wonder, what are the side effects of these medicinal herbs? That is why the Heart of Frost has become especially important. Yin Luofeng's hands did not stop moving as he continued to answer Grandpa June's question. When applying paralysis on the patient, you must use the Heart of Frost. Its function is to stabilize the patient's blood flow, preventing the patient's blood from flowing backwards. Grandpa June looked at Yin Luofeng with a serious expression. He had never heard of the things that Yin Luofeng was writing. However, it had opened the door to a new era for him, giving him a feeling of enlightenment. Chapter 1375. Old man, are you stupid? You believe whatever this woman says? The person next to him couldn't stand it anymore. He sneered and said, She's just writing nonsense. How could you be so stupid to believe her words? I don't think you know anything about medicine. Let the patient take Bien K bile. What's the difference between that and letting her die? Grandpa June frowned and glanced at the person who had insulted him. Bien K's gallbladder is mixed with crane's breath grass. It may really have a paralyzing effect. You have never tried it. How do you know that her method is not feasible? I have not tried it, but the moment I heard it, I knew that it would not work. Could it be that you have tried this method? He sneered again and said mockingly. Ling knitted her cute brows, and anger gradually appeared on her face. However, her grandfather did not say anything. She would not act rashly. Thus, she continued to stand beside Grandpa June. For this old man, there is no need to try. I can calculate it in my mind. This was the confidence of a strong person. He was no longer like an ordinary doctor. No matter what the result was, he would have to personally test it. But for him, he only needed to calculate it in his mind to know if the conclusion was feasible. Mudong saw that the person was about to say something else. He snorted coldly. This medical hall actually allows anyone to enter, and he still dares to clamor here. Did he not see that the acupuncture technique written by my disciple is the legendary million needles technique? For a doctor, silver needles were the most important item after medicinal herbs. If a doctor did not even know how to perform acupuncture, then he could not be considered a qualified doctor. Thus, while Grandpa June was paying attention to the combination of medicinal herbs, Mu Dong was paying attention to the set of acupuncture technique written by Yin Luofeng. The more he read, the more shocked he became. This set of needle techniques was not complete, but he could roughly tell that Yin Luofeng had used the legendary 10,000 needles technique on this question. However, wait a minute. Grandpa Jun suddenly regained his senses and looked at Mu Dong. You mean your disciple? Where's your disciple? My new disciple. Mu Dong pointed at the girl in white. That's her. Fuck. When Grandpa Jun heard that, he immediately became furious. This is the first time I've seen you act so shamelessly. When did she agree to be your disciple? It turned out that shamelessness was also a realm. Mu Dong chuckled. In any case, I've taken a fancy to this girl. Just based on this 1,000 needles technique, I can predict that her medical skills are definitely not simple. Oomph. Grandpa Jun gave a cold snort. You can see it, but so can I. Let's not talk about whether or not this young lady can solve this age-old problem. Just by looking at the medical knowledge that she has written down, I can tell that her talent is absolutely top-notch. Mu Dong narrowed his eyes slightly. You already have a disciple, and such an obedient granddaughter. How about you give this little girl to me? In this world, who would complain about having too many genius disciples? So, why should I give it to you? The two old friends had unexpectedly stood on opposite sides in a single night. It was all for a young girl. Old man Jun, are you trying to fall out with me? Mu Dong's face turned ashen. Ignoring their many years of friendship, he gritted his teeth and said, Don't forget, you promised me that you would accompany me here to help me accept a disciple. Now, you want to snatch my disciple? Do you still have any face left? Chapter 1376. Mu Dong, don't call her your disciple. This little girl has yet to acknowledge you as her master. Even if you have no self-respect, you shouldn't say such things at this time. Grandpa Jun paused for a moment before continuing. Besides, this little girl is indeed fated with me. This kind of thing is also unexpected. Why don't you withdraw from this? I promise I will find you another disciple. These words almost drove Mu Dong mad. He turned to look at Linger and said, Linger, don't you care about your grandfather? He even wants to snatch my disciple. Grandpa Mu, Linger giggled and said, My grandpa is right. This lady did not acknowledge you as her master, so she is not your disciple. Furthermore, I feel that she will develop better if she follows my grandpa. Don't you think so? Mu Dong's beard trembled and his eyes widened. You two old and young people are working together to anger me. I'm telling you, this girl is mine. Whoever dares to snatch her from me, I will fucking turn against them. The people in the medical hall did not dare to say a word when they saw the two old men fighting. Mu Dong had some authority in the central continent. They did not know who the white-robed old man was, but to be able to speak to him in such a tone, he must be a big shot. These two people were not people they could afford to offend. Therefore, the people in the medical hall tactfully took a few steps back and made a large space for the two old men. As for the person who had humiliated Grandpa Jun, when he felt the aura of the two old men, he almost fainted from fright. Fortunately, the person beside him held him up in time, preventing him from falling to the ground. At this time, Yin Luofeng had finished the last stroke of her brush. She turned her head and saw that the old man who had asked her questions was now arguing with the other old man. Her face revealed a puzzled expression. What happened? The two old men saw the girl who had turned around and walked towards Yin Luofeng at the same time. However, when Mu Dong saw Grandpa Jun coming forward, he directly squeezed past him. Get out of the way. Don't disturb me and my disciple. Reminisce? Reminisce your sister. You two have only known each other for the first time. Oh, that's not right. I don't even know you. What is there to reminisce about? Get lost. Grandpa Jun waved his hand and sent a palm strike towards Mu Dong. Mu Dong, don't force me to fight you. This time, Grandpa Jun had even changed the way he addressed himself from old man to old man, showing just how angry he was. Let's fight then. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Your medical skills are indeed better than mine, but in terms of strength, the two of us have always been on par. Mu Dong snorted and fought back, not to be outdone. Yin Luofeng was a little stunned. She had been too engrossed at the back and did not know what had happened. But When did he have a master? Don't mind me. Suddenly, a voice that was clear like a bell resounded from Yun Luofeng's side. When she turned her head, a lovely smiling face was reflected in her eyes. The girl's smile was very bright. She had bright eyes and white teeth, and was full of spirit. My grandfather has always been like this. When he and Grandpa Mu are close, they're like real brothers. Once there is a dispute, they immediately become enemies. Ling pursed her lips into a faint smile and blinked her eyes slightly. Grandpa Mu said that you know the 10,000 needle technique. Do you really know the legendary 10,000 needle technique? Yin Luofeng was startled. 10,000 needle technique? Are you talking about the needle technique that I just drew? Yin Luofeng gently stroked her chin. If you're talking about it, then I know it. Chapter 1377. This acupuncture technique was recorded in the Holy Book of Medicine. It was deeply engraved in her mind. Thus, she had casually drawn it out. Hearing this, Linger's eyes lit up. Then, she extended her hand to Yun Luofeng. Oh yes, my name is Jun Ling. Jun? Yun Luofeng was very sensitive to this surname. Thus, she paused for a moment before taking Jun Linger's hand. Yun Luofeng. On this side, the two old men were fighting fiercely. The sky was dark. Yun Luofeng had just regained his senses when he heard laughter in front of him. No wonder you haven't completed your mission after so long. So you're seducing a girl from a good family. Hong Wan's figure rushed over, her arm hooking around Yun Luofeng's shoulder. She raised her eyebrows slightly, her phoenix eyes landing on Linger. This little girl is very pretty. I like her a lot. Linger seemed to have never seen such a bold woman, especially when this woman teased her in such a domineering manner. She was instantly frightened. She replied weakly, I'm not gay. Puffed. Hong Wan could not help but laugh. Little girl, I'm just joking with you. Of course, if I were a man, I would definitely want to touch you. As a woman, she liked such a pretty little girl. What more man? Linger's face turned red. In her entire life, she had never been teased in such a blatant manner. Moreover, the other party was a woman. Yin Luofeng, your place is very lively. Hong Wan raised an eyebrow and smiled. How is it? Did you pass? Yin Luofeng did not speak and turned to look at the steward of the medical hall. The steward wiped the sweat from his forehead. Passed. Did he not see that Master Mu and his good friend had fought over this girl? How could he say that she had not passed? Even if she had scribbled nonsense, she had to pass. Since you passed, let's go. Hong Wan smiled and hooked her arm around Yun Luofeng's. She did not forget to turn back and pinch Linger's fair and soft little face. Little girl, we will meet again. Outside the medical hall, Yin Luofeng stopped in her tracks. She raised an eyebrow at the woman in red and asked, I've known you for so long. I've never seen you interested in anyone. In other words, she was asking Hong Wan why she was so interested in a little girl. This little girl's identity is somewhat special, Hong Wan smiled. If I'm not mistaken, she's the daughter of the Jun family's master. Jun family? Yin Luofeng suddenly remembered that her name was Jun Ling. Could she be from the Jun family of Ling continent? Yin Luofeng. Hong Wan turned her head. The smile on her face gradually disappeared and was replaced by a dignified look. I'm only telling you some things because you're my friend. I don't know why you have the Jun family's jade tablet in your hands, and I don't know if it's good or bad for you. Therefore, before you find out the truth, you can't reveal it, even if it's someone from the Jun family. Hong Wan's expression was very serious. After all, no one knew if Yin Luofeng was really a member of the Jun family. What if, is she an enemy of the Jun family? I understand. Yin Luofeng smiled faintly. Even though she planned to seek an answer for Jun Fengling, she did not intend to reveal the jade pendant before finding out the truth. Whether you're a member of the Jun family or not, you're my friend. Hong Wan clenched her fist and hit her chest. I will always stand by your side, and I will never give up. Chapter 1378. What does her status have to do with her? She only approved of this one person. Let's go. Yin Luofeng shrugged. We can leave Tianyuan City tomorrow. Hong Wan did not speak. She turned to look in the direction of the medical hall. A cold light flashed across her eyes. If she and her father were wrong, and Yin Luofeng was not a member of the Jun family, then she would never let the Jun family hurt her. The medical hall. The two old men finally stopped. They were panting, their foreheads covered in sweat. However, when they turned around, they found that Yin Luofeng had disappeared. Where's my disciple? Mu Dong was stunned. Gone. Linger opened her big bright eyes. I saw that you were too engrossed in the fight just now. I thought that you liked to fight, so I didn't remind you. What? Mu Dong was stunned and asked hurriedly. Then do you know if she went east or west? West. Ling was lying through her teeth. In the hearts of the elders, Ling had always been an honest child. Therefore, Mu Dong did not suspect anything and quickly chased after her. Grandpa, Miss Yin went east. She shouldn't have left for long. Hurry up and chase after her. Don't let Grandpa Mu catch up to her. Grandpa Jun laughed and patted Ling Er's little head. You black-bellied little fox. After I accept this disciple, I will allow you to return home for a few days. Grandpa Linger wants to follow you. Little girl, don't think that I don't know that you have been missing your parents. I let you down all these years. In a few days, I will let you go back and reunite with them for a while. Thank you, Grandpa. Ling Er's smile was very bright. It shone into Grandpa Jun's heart. But Ling Er's favorite thing is to accompany Grandpa on his travels. All right, go after Mission first. Otherwise, when Grandpa Mu finds out that he has been tricked, he will definitely head east. All right, huh? Grandpa Jun laughed out loud. Dressed in a white robe, he quickly disappeared from the medical hall. At that moment, everyone in the medical hall was sweating. No one could have imagined that this innocent little girl would be a swindler. Poor Mu Dong, who told him not to have such a considerate granddaughter, causing him to be outnumbered. Unfortunately, Linger had overestimated Mu Dong's intelligence. After he searched the entire west side of the city and did not find Yin Luofeng, he suddenly realized that he had been tricked. Thus, on that day, the angry roar of the old man resounded through the streets of Tianyu City, lingering for a long time. Junling Tian. Junlinger, you grandfather and grandson actually joined forces to deceive me. Good. Very good. I want to sever all ties with you. Irreconcilable. At the inn, just as Yin Luofeng and Hong Wan stepped inside, Grandpa Jun chased after them. He smiled and blocked Yin Luofeng's path. Miss Yin, your medical skills have amazed me. Would you be willing to be my disciple? Yin Luofeng narrowed her eyes. A light flashed across them. I already have enough masters. I can't take another one. If you want, we can discuss medical skills. Ah! Grandpa Jun saw that Yin Luofeng did not completely reject him. He laughed heartily. It's fine if you don't want to take me as your master. I see that you are about the same age as my granddaughter. If you don't mind, you could call me Grandpa. Let me have another granddaughter. Chapter 1379. All right. Yin Luofeng smiled. Grandfather. Hearing this form of address, Grandpa Jun felt a little sad for some reason. If this girl was really his granddaughter, he would definitely be overjoyed. Unfortunately, he did not even know if Jun was still alive, nor did he know if she had given birth to a boy or a girl. Hong Wan stood at the side without saying a word. She naturally knew Yin Luofeng's purpose. This old man was a member of the Jun family. If Yin Luofeng wanted to find out more information, he had to make contact with the Jun family. Huh? Grandpa Jun laughed out loud again. His laughter was very hearty. Little girl, if you want, you can leave with me now. No need. Yin Luofeng shook his head. I still have something important to do. Once I'm done, I'll pay you a visit. If that's the case, I won't disturb you anymore. If you need anything, come find me at the Jun family in Ling Continent. Although Grandpa Jun did not manage to accept Yin Luofeng as his disciple, he had obtained a cheap granddaughter. He left very satisfied. Unfortunately, when he returned to the Mu residence, he was greeted by a storm. Junling Tian, you shameless villain. Mu Dong's face was ashen, his eyes filled with anger as he glared at Grandpa Jun. I never thought you were this kind of person. I've really misjudged you all these years." Grandpa Jun did not get angry. Instead, he continued to smile. "Mudong, don't be angry. I did find that little girl. However, she said that she had too many masters and rejected me." Hearing this, Mudong felt a little better. Although he was a step too late, Grandpa Jun did not succeed in obtaining this disciple. However, Grandpa Jun changed the topic and continued. "This little girl has recognized me as her grandfather." What? Mudong was furious. This time, he did not waste time talking nonsense with Grandpa Jun. He directly attacked. His sharp aura was like a long sword that suddenly stopped. Boom! Grandpa Jun's body flashed, dodging Mudong's attack. However, the ground where he was standing just now had a deep pit. It was obvious how much strength Mudong had used. "Mudong, are you serious?" Grandpa Jun did not expect that Mudong would actually come for real. His eyes widened as he said, "If it weren't for the fact that I feel guilty towards you, I would have already taken action against you." "Oomph." Mudong snorted coldly. "Leave. From now on, you're no longer my friend. Who knows, if I continue to have such a deep relationship with Grandpa Jun, I might end up getting snatched away by him. Mudong, the two of us have been good friends for many years. Why must we fall out over such a small matter?" Grandpa Jun shamelessly walked towards Mudong, his aged face filled with smiles. Seeing his infuriating look, Mudong wanted to punch him in the face. Of course, he felt that there was no need to fall out. Wasn't it because he had beaten them to it? If he was the one who snatched the little girl first, he reckoned that the old man would start a war with him without a second word. "Before I left, I took the question that Yin Lass answered. The two of us can study it and see if her answers are correct." Grandpa Jun naturally knew how to make Mu Tiannin loosen up. So, he waved his hand and took out a scroll with black and white characters. Chapter 1380. Sure enough, Mudong's wrinkled face relaxed for a moment, but quickly tensed up again. "Wait until I'm done researching this problem. Then I'll settle the score with you. Don't worry, after I'm done researching this problem, this old man will definitely apologize to you," Grandpa Jun said with a smile. "Right now, the most important thing is to find someone to test the method she used. For the people of this foreign world, there were very few people who could solve this problem. However, in China, a successful operation could be done. Of course, someone like Nangong Uni, who also came from China, might not be able to solve this problem. After all, many of the medicinal ingredients in this foreign world and China were different. Even if there were medicinal ingredients with the same name, the medicinal effects might not be the same. The reason why Yin Luofeng was able to write down this heart transplant surgery was because she had cleverly used the knowledge provided by the Divine Book of Medicine and combined it with what she had learned in China to solve this difficult problem. After Mudong heard Grandpa Jun's words, they immediately sent people to find patients with the same problem. Fortunately, although Mudong lived in seclusion, he had countless experts at his service. Thus, it didn't take long for them to find a patient. The treatment process did not allow for a single mistake. Thus, Grandpa Jun and Mudong thoroughly researched the solution and transferred several doctors from the medical hall. Only then did they start using Yin Luofeng's treatment method. However, they did not expect that this treatment would last for 3 days and 3 nights. With Grandpa Jun and Mudong's strength, 3 days and 3 nights of sleepless treatment, coupled with their tense mental state, did not pose much of a problem. However, the people in the medical hall could not bear it, and each of them became incomparably weak. Just as they were about to collapse, a maniacal laughter rang out in the sky above the Mu residence. "Success, it's really a success. This ancient problem has been solved by the hands of a young girl. Ha ha!" Grandpa Jun laughed loudly. His expression was one of joy, but it was also one of rejoicing. Rejoicing that he had a discerning eye and accepted such a genius granddaughter. Mudong stared blankly for a few seconds, then suddenly rushed towards Grandpa Jun. Before Grandpa Jun could recover from his surprise, Mudong fiercely grabbed him by the neck. "Give me back my disciple! Give me back my disciple!" The doctors who were dozing off suddenly woke up. When they saw Mudong's crazy appearance, They hurriedly ran towards him and pulled his hand. Old Master Mu, don't be impulsive. Don't be impulsive. Hurry up and let go. Ahem. After Mu Dong released his grip, Grandpa Jun coughed twice. He was not angered by Mu Dong's actions and continued to smile. Mu Dong, my granddaughter is not your apprentice. Don't try to claim that we are relatives. Mu Dong gradually calmed down. He took a deep breath and asked, does your granddaughter need a grandfather? I can give her all my belongings and let her call me Grandpa. That's enough. Compared to the old urchin's Grandpa Jun, Mu Dong cherished geniuses even more. In his opinion, all his possessions were merely worldly possessions. If he could exchange all his possessions for such a talented granddaughter, then it would be worth it. Are you sure? Grandpa Jun raised his eyebrows. You have countless treasures in your hands. Even a single medicinal herb is priceless. Are you going to use all your belongings to acknowledge your granddaughter? Chapter 1381. That's right. As long as she treats me as her granddaughter, I will give her anything. No. Grandpa Jun hurriedly shook his head. I haven't prepared a gift for my granddaughter. What if you surpass me? I heard that there is a medicinal herb in the Zhongzhou Sea that can greatly increase one's strength. Wait for me to bring that medicinal herb to my cheap granddaughter, then I will bring you to her. Junling Tian, I'm telling you, if you don't bring me to that girl, I won't play with you today. Mu Dong glared angrily at Grandpa Jun obviously. If Grandpa Jun rejected him, he would not let this old man off easily. Seeing Mu Dong on the verge of going crazy, Grandpa Jun finally relented. Don't forget what you said earlier. You will give her everything you have. If you don't keep your word, I will not bring you to see her. Although he could not give Yin Luofeng a gift now, how could he really refuse to give her so many treasures? Unfortunately, Mu Dong was ultimately disappointed when they arrived at the inn. They found out that Yin Luofeng had already left a few days ago. The two old men could only return in disappointment. Grandpa Jun had just stepped out of the inn when a figure landed in front of him. The figure knelt on the ground and said respectfully, Old Master, I have finally found you. Grandpa Jun's face immediately turned grim. He said coldly, I have already said that I will not interfere with the Jun family's matters. Why are you still looking for me? Old Master, this is a special matter. The guard wiped the sweat off his forehead and said respectfully, the old master has received a message. It is said that the Lord of the Eastern Continent had personally seen someone carrying a jade pendant. So, he is here to inform the Jun family. After saying this, the guard presented a piece of paper with the image of the jade pendant. Grandpa Jun's body stiffened. With trembling hands, he took the paper from the guard and slowly unfolded it. All these years, he had experienced hope and despair. In the end, he no longer dared to have any hope. Therefore, at this moment, his heart was filled with fear from the inside out. He was afraid that this jade pendant was not the one he had placed in his daughter's swaddling clothes. However, the moment he unfolded the paper, tears streamed down his face. His trembling fingers caressed the word Jun on the jade pendant. That's right, this is the jade pendant I gave to Juner back then. Juner is still alive? She's alive. How many years has it been? How many years had he spent in longing and despair? In fact, he had already given up hope. Who would have thought that he would be able to see this jade pendant in his lifetime? Did the East Continent's continent lord provide Juner's portrait? Or is that her current name? Grandpa Sheng raised his head and asked excitedly. He only said that the other party was a young girl in her 20s. He didn't say anything else. Young girl. Grandpa Jun was startled. The look of joy on his face became even more intense. Could it be that Jun has already given birth to a daughter? That young lady is Juner's daughter? This is great. This old man has another granddaughter. The pitiful Grandpa Jun did not know that Yin Luofeng was not Jun Fengling's daughter, but her daughter-in-law. Congratulations. Even though Mu Dong was still angry about what had happened before, he still walked forward and patted his old friend on the shoulder. Chapter 1382. No one knew better than him the pain his old friend had gone through all these years. If Juner is still alive in this world, it would be a matter worthy of celebration. Mudong. Grandpa Jun turned around and looked at Mudong's aged face. Do me a favor and send Ling back to the Jun family for me. Mudong was stunned. What do you want to do? I want to go to the East Continent and find the Lord of the East Continent to ask about her appearance and name. Grandpa Jun took a deep breath and said with a determined expression, This time, I will not return to the Ling continent until I find her. All right. Mudong nodded. Leave Ling to me. Go. You've been missing her for so many years. Now that you've finally found out that Jun is still alive, you must not give up. Grandpa Jun looked at Mudong and patted him on the shoulder. He did not say a word of thanks. There was no need for thanks between the two of them. Then, he turned around and disappeared from the bustling street in his white robes. Go back. Mudong looked at the Jun family's guard. I will escort Ling home safely. Yes, Lord Mudong. The guard cupped his fists and disappeared into the bustling crowd as well. After passing the trial, Yin Luofeng and Hong Wan followed the crowd and successfully left Tianyu City. However, they did not follow the crowd. After leaving Tianyu City, they separated from the crowd and rushed to the withered dragon town as fast as they could. At this moment, the streets of the quiet withered dragon town were filled with maple leaves. Perhaps it was because everyone knew that there would be a battle in the withered dragon town in the near future. Thus, everyone had left, leaving the entire street desolate and silent. Inside a house, a man sat on the bed. His black robes were open, revealing his strong abdominal muscles. His smooth chest made one want to touch it. This man was very handsome. His paralyzed face was always expressionless, and his cold, black eyes were like a deep pool, incomparably deep and serene. Get out. The man's voice was bone-chilling, causing the man in green standing at the door to shiver. He cupped his fists and said, Yes. At this moment, the green-robed man understood that after several days and nights of extraction, the medicinal essence of the Bodhi heart had been refined by his master. Next, he would cut open Bai Su's heart and extract her blood essence. Thinking of this, the green-robed man silently retreated and closed the door for the man. In the room, there was a solemn silence. The man flipped his palm, and a shining dagger appeared in his hand. He aimed the cold blade at his chest and ruthlessly stabbed it. The intense pain caused him to groan. However, from beginning to end, he didn't even frown, nor did he show any mercy. At this moment, a surprise cry came from outside the door, causing the man's hand to tremble, and he almost lost his grip on the dagger in his hand. Mistress, why are you here? Bang! The room door was suddenly kicked open, and Yun Luofeng rushed in from outside. What entered her eyes was the scene of Yun Xiao using a dagger to cut open his chest. This bloody scene caused Yun Luofeng's heart to tremble. She asked in disbelief, Yun Xiao, what are you doing? Fenger, why are you here? Yun Xiao was slightly shaken. He had already forgotten about his pain, and his gaze fell upon the young girl. Chapter 1383. Tell me, what are you doing? Yun Luofeng's voice was filled with uncontrollable anger. You said that you wanted to leave for a while, just to hurt yourself? Why didn't you tell me what you wanted to do? Ever since she found out that Yun Xiao had found the heart of Bodhi, she had had a bad premonition. However, she never expected that he would cut open his own chest. But this man, why didn't he tell her anything? Why did he have to bear all of this alone? Yun Luofeng clenched her fists tightly. Her heart felt as if it had been squeezed fiercely by a hand, causing her entire body to tremble in pain. Fenger, get out. Yun Xiao frowned slightly. Don't look. Yun Luofeng did not seem to hear Yun Xiao's words and walked towards him. Fenger. Yun Xiao clutched the dagger in his hand. I beg you, get out. Yun Xiao, no matter what it is, we can face it together. Tell me, what do you want to do? Perhaps I can help you. Yun Luofeng's voice trembled as she stared at Yun Xiao's blood-drenched chest. She wanted to do something for him, but she did not know what Yun Xiao's goal was. Master. Little Mo had appeared next to Yun Luofeng at some point. He glanced at Yun Xiao and said, There's a drop of blood in his heart. I believe that his goal is to extract that drop of blood. At first, little Mo did not sense the blood in Yun Zhao's body. Only when Yun Zhao cut open his chest did he clearly sense it. Yun Luofeng's heart ached. Little Mo, is there any other way? The green-robed man who had been standing guard outside the door walked in again. He looked at Yun Zhao and then at Yun Luofeng. Master's blood was planted by Su, and it's a blood curse. This blood curse will make it impossible for him to stay with you forever. If he wants to break the blood curse, there's only one way. Master needs to sleep with another woman. He doesn't want to let you down, so he thought of this method. Yun Zhao's expression was cold and solemn. Even though his voice was incomparably weak, it still carried a sharp aura. Get out. His words were naturally directed at the green-robed man. If it were not for the intense pain in his chest, the green-robed man would not have been able to complete his sentence. However, the green-robed man did not regret his words. Even if he would be thrown back and punished like Lin Xiong, he still had to tell his mistress about his master's actions. He couldn't let his mistress know nothing about his master's sacrifice. Fenger, I'll be fine soon. I beg you don't look. Yun Zhao's dagger was still dripping with fresh blood, but because Yun Luofeng was here, he could not move at all. He could only use that pleading voice to say. However, when he looked at the young girl's face once more, his body suddenly stiffened. You cried? After accompanying the girl for so many years, he had never seen her shed a single tear. But now, because of him, she was crying. Once he thought of this, Yun Zhao's heart was surrounded by self-blame and guilt, to the extent that he forgot the pain in his chest and only cared about the pain in his heart. Her tears were like arrows, enough to pierce through his heart. Xiao Mo, it's too late to find the anesthetic ingredients now. Yun Luofeng did not answer Yun Zhao's question and turned toward Xiao Mo, so I need your help. Xiao Mo was stunned. Are you planning to use the spiritual energy in the divine grimoire space to supply it to Yun Zhao? Master, the divine grimoire space is secretly related to you. If you supply too much spiritual energy to others, it will cause the divine grimoire space to be damaged, and you will die. Chapter 1384. I don't care about that much. Yun Luofeng's eyes were filled with determination. This time, I must help him. She couldn't let Yun Zhao face everything alone. If she could save him, she wouldn't regret it even if her soul was destroyed, let alone the divine grimoire space. All right, little Mo nodded. No matter what you want to do, I'll accompany you. Little Mo didn't tell Yun Luofeng that once the divine grimoire space was damaged, as the guardian spirit of the space, he would also disappear. But he wouldn't stop Yun Luofeng. As long as she wanted to do something, he would support her. Fenger. Yun Zhao didn't know what Yun Luofeng wanted to do, but when he heard little Mo's last sentence, he frowned and said, I can solve it myself. You shut up. Yun Luofeng glared at him fiercely. I'll settle the score with you later on about what you've hidden from me. Fire, protect me. Xiao Shu, help me tie him up. Little Mo, mobilize the spirit energy in the divine grimoire space to alleviate his pain. Fenger, I'm a man. This pain is nothing. You don't have to risk your life. Yun Zhao insisted on standing up, but in the next second, countless vines grew out, instantly tying the man firmly to the bed. If Yun Zhao hadn't cut open his chest at the beginning, he wouldn't have been so helpless that he was tied up by the small tree. The problem was, he never thought that Yun Luofeng would suddenly find him here at this time. Fenger. Yun Zhao was anxious. His eyes were bloodshot. Let me go. Yun Zhao, this time, I won't let you face it alone. Yun Luofeng smiled. At this moment, her smile was very beautiful, so beautiful that it made people's hearts beat. Compared to death, I'm more afraid of heartache. If, this time, I really die to save you, then go to the Yellow Springs to find me. I'll wait for you there. I will be waiting for you in the Yellow Springs and blue skies for all eternity. Yun Zhao suddenly quieted down and no longer resisted violently. If something really happened to Yun Luofeng, then so what if he went to the Yellow Springs with her? If they joined hands, they would also make a name for themselves. At the door, Hong Wan quietly looked at the two people in the room. At this moment, she suddenly understood what true love was. For her, this man would rather dig out his heart and extract his blood than do anything to betray her. Ling Li kept saying that his son was the best man in the world. Then wouldn't Yin Luofeng's husband be the best in the world? How could a person who couldn't even control the lower half of his body compare to someone as infatuated as the Ghost Emperor? However, feelings were mutual. He had given up everything for her, and she was also willing to die for this man. Hong Wan felt a little emotional in her heart. I really wonder who placed a blood curse on the Ghost Emperor. If I find out who it is that wants to ruin such a beautiful couple, I definitely won't let them off. Hong Wan seemed to hear the sound of galloping horses nearby. She gently raised her brows. Looks like those people have caught up to us. Yin Luofeng, stay here and treat your husband. Leave those who have come to disturb us to me. Yin Luofeng was startled. She turned to look at Hong Wan. She muttered to herself for a moment, then nodded and said, "Pay attention to your safety. You must live." Currently, the strongest people by her side were Fire and the small tree. However, the two of them were unable to leave, so those experts could only rely on Hong Wan alone. Chapter 1385. You too. Hong Wan glanced at Yin Luofeng before she turned and walked out. The man in green wanted to follow her, but Hong Wan merely glanced at him coldly and said, "You are too weak. You should stay. I alone am enough to deal with the rest." Hearing the woman's merciless words, the man in green looked a little embarrassed. He had wanted to say that she was just a middle-stage Saint King, but Hong Wan slammed the door shut with a loud bang. On the street, the hooves of horses galloped in the air. Countless people were riding on horses and riding on flying cranes. There was a sea of people. These people were all above the Saint King level and were so powerful that they were unmatched. "Little girl, we are here to find the Ghost Emperor. Hurry up and get out of the way. Maybe we can spare your life." When the experts saw that the person blocking their way was just a little girl at the intermediate Saint King stage, they did not think much of her and did not take her seriously at all. Hong Wan smiled and blocked the door alone. Her red robes fluttered in the wind, and she was domineering and arrogant. "Today, as long as I, Hong Wan, am alive, none of you can take another step in. Of course, if you want to enter, it is not impossible. You will have to step over my dead body." Huh. Hearing the woman in red's domineering voice, a middle-aged man burst into laughter. "You? A middle-stage Saint King girl dares to be so arrogant? Fine, we'll kill you first, then we'll kill the Ghost Emperor." In an instant, all the cultivators' auras surged out and charged forward. Hong Wan calmly took out a red box from her space ring. Then, she slowly opened the red box and took out a fruit that was emitting a red glow. "Mother, this is something that you left behind for me before you passed away. It could be considered as a protective talisman for me, but I never thought that I would need to use it so soon." Hong Wan curled the corners of her lips. "Back then, you also left a message for me. Unless it was absolutely necessary, I must not use this thing. But now I must use it no matter what. I am willing to bear the consequences myself." Hong Wan placed the fruit by her mouth. The fruit instantly turned into a ray of light and disappeared into her mouth. At the same time, her strength, which was originally at the middle level of a holy king, instantly rose. High-level Saint King, low-level Saint Venerable, mid-level Saint Venerable, high-level Saint Venerable, and finally Saint Monarch. That's right, her strength had suddenly reached the Saint Monarch realm. What's going on? Why did she suddenly become a saint? Could it be because of the fruit she consumed? A certain expert turned pale with fright and cried out in alarm. No, that's not right. Her strength isn't very stable. It should be a method that can increase her strength in a short period of time. If she can hold on for a while, when the effect of the medicine is over, we can kill her. One of them reacted quickly and said hurriedly. Hong Wan held her sword, her face expressionless. "I can deal with all of you within these 2 hours." With this sentence, she had already admitted that there was indeed a time limit for the fruit she consumed. But so what? She would use the fastest speed to deal with this group of people. In reality, the fruit she consumed was cultivated by a Lord Saint 10,000 years ago using his own spiritual chi. Therefore, after consuming it, she would possess the power of a Lord Saint. It was a pity that the sage hadn't grasped the method of using spiritual chi to nourish the medicinal herbs. So this fruit was actually a failure. Not only could it increase his strength for a short period of time, but the consequences were also very serious. Kill. A cultivator waved his hand, and instantly, countless people charged towards Hong Wan. Battle cries and screams filled the desolate street. Chapter 1386. At this moment, Hong Wan was like a warrior dressed in red armor with a long sword in his hand. Invincible. Countless killings. Ever since she left the East Continent with Yin Luofeng a few months ago, she had already been prepared to face a strong enemy. Moreover, for Yin Luofeng, even if she had to bear the consequences of raising her strength, she would not regret it. Inside the room, Yin Luofeng, who was wholeheartedly digging out Yin Zhao's heart to extract blood, did not know what was happening outside the room. But she believed in Hong Wan. She believed that she could definitely block those people. Yin Zhao's gaze had always been on Yin Luofeng. Perhaps it was because little Mo was constantly providing him with spirit energy from the divine grimoire space, but he did not feel too much pain. Even so, it was still a little painful. Therefore, Yin Zhao's gaze slowly shifted to Yin Luofeng's body, the scene of him and the girl in front of him reverberating in his mind. To divert his attention, Master, cold sweat dripped down Little Mo's forehead. His little face was a little pale as he turned to Yin Luofeng. Although there's too much spirit energy in the divine grimoire space, and I even said that the space can provide you with unlimited spirit energy, but, in fact, the spirit energy in the divine grimoire space can be used up. I can already feel that the consumption this time is too great, and the divine grimoire space will not be able to hold on any longer. Yin Luofeng did not even frown. Continue to hold on. All right. Little Mo did not speak anymore. He transferred the spirit energy from his hand into Yun Zhao's body to relieve the pain of his heart being dug out. Feng are enough. Yun Zhao frowned slightly. I can bear with it for now. Let little Mo stop first. If you don't want me to use up too much energy, then shut up. Yin Luofeng said fiercely. When she thought about how Yin Zhao had hidden such an important matter from her, she shouted angrily with a bad expression on her face. Yin Zhao looked at little Mo, whose body was already beginning to sway, and his heart suddenly tightened. His hands that were placed on both sides of his body also clenched tightly into fists. The little tree looked at Yin Luofeng, then looked at the pale little Mo. He raised his hand to scratch his butt, and then he took out a chrysanthemum flower from his pocket. That's right, it was indeed a yellow and tender chrysanthemum. Fire looked at the small tree speechlessly. This guy's pocket was 100 treasures bag? Why does it have everything? After the little tree took out the chrysanthemum flower, he commanded the vines to bind Yun Zhao tightly before returning to the divine grimoire space. The space of the divine grimoire, which had originally been rich in spiritual chi, now seemed very bleak. The medicinal herbs that had been picked and planted in the medicinal field had all withered, falling with the wind. As soon as it saw its food in this state, the small tree immediately became angry. It was so angry that its hair stood up and its eyes turned red. If the divine grimoire space was a person, the little tree would have beaten him up immediately. However, the little tree could not hit the divine grimoire space, so he could only think of a way to save the space that was on the verge of collapse. Most importantly, he had to save his own food. Therefore, the small tree found a good spot in the field and planted the little chrysanthemum that he had taken out from the soil. When the little tender chrysanthemum began to grow, he clapped his hands and nodded in satisfaction. The collapse of the divine grimoire space was a small matter, but losing his rations was a huge matter. How could he bear to go hungry? However, the speed of the little chrysanthemum's growth was a bit slow. The small tree was very unwilling. He untied his pants and began to pee on the little chrysanthemum. Chapter 1387. Not long after, the little chrysanthemum began to grow rapidly, growing into a chrysanthemum flower that was even taller than the tree. In reality, this was just a seed that looked like a chrysanthemum flower. The little tree was using it to save the grimoire space. Oh no, it was using it to save his own food. As for why it looked like a chrysanthemum, the little tree had no idea inside the house. Little Mo and Yun Luofeng did not notice the little tree leaving, nor were they in the mood to pay attention to what was happening in the grimoire space. Therefore, they did not know that there was a chrysanthemum flower growing strong in the space. Master, I can't hold on much longer. The grimoire space cannot hold on much longer. Little Mo looked at Yun Luofeng with a pale face. If you don't cure Yun Xiao, the space will collapse soon. Usually, Yun Luofeng only used a trace of the spiritual power of the space, as if he was slowly tasting tea. Now, he was drinking it like drinking water. No matter how big the kettle was, it would not be able to withstand such drinking. Little Mo, I will succeed soon. Hold on for a little longer. At this point, Yun Luofeng was not willing to give up. Even if she gave up her life, she was not willing to let Yin Xiao endure that kind of pain. Little Mo's body swayed a little. He looked at Yun Luofeng, his bright eyes gradually showing a touch of determination. Master, do you remember the identity I mentioned to you? Little Mo smiled. My body is formed from the spiritual energy of the grimoire space. Now that a large amount of the spiritual energy of the grimoire space has been consumed by me, if this continues, you will definitely die. But he raised his head, his eyes bright. Since my body is formed from the spiritual energy of the space, I can also turn myself into that spiritual energy and relieve Yin Zhao's pain. Little Mo, Yin Luofeng's heart suddenly tightened. The space should be able to hold on for a little longer. Didn't you say before that the spiritual energy of the grimoire space is inexhaustible? Even if it's not as exaggerated as you said, it should be able to hold on for a little longer. Little Mo shook his head. As the guardian spirit of the space, no one knows the extent of the spiritual energy of the grimoire space better than I do. I cannot use it anymore. At least, I cannot let you die. Once the space collapsed, both of them would die. In that case, it would be better for him to leave alone. He was originally a lifeless existence. It was the divine grimoire space that gave him consciousness, and he got to know Master and Whitey. Little Mo did not understand why he would think of that silly girl at this time. Little Mo, Yin Luofeng's expression suddenly changed. I don't want Yin Xiao to suffer, and I don't want you to leave. So don't do anything stupid. Master, in this life, I'm already satisfied to have known you. Oh yes, remember to tell Xiao by that if I can reincarnate like a human, I want to marry her in my next life. But he knew that this was merely wishful thinking. He was merely a spirit without life or soul. So how could he reincarnate? If he disappeared, he would no longer exist in this world. Feng, Yin Xiao saw that Xiao Mo was about to sacrifice himself. He raised his hand and held Yin Luofeng's hand. You have done enough. Rather than letting him disappear, I am willing to endure the pain. How could Yin Xiao not understand the importance of Xiao Mo to her? If little Mo really lost her life because of this, she would be in pain for the rest of her life. Chapter 1388. For Yin Xiao, Yin Luofeng wasn't afraid of death, but she didn't want little Mo to sacrifice himself. Could it be that there was no other way? Yin Luofeng's heart clenched as he punched the ground. Damn it, there must be another way. Just then, little Mo's expression changed once again. She was already prepared to face death calmly. He had a strange look on his face. Master, I just used up all the spiritual energy in the divine grimoire space. Why did it recover? Wait, little Mo seemed to sense something and his eyes widened in shock. Xiao Shu? When did he go to the divine grimoire space? Also, what was that big yellow chrysanthemum? No matter what, the restoration of a divine grimoire space filled little Mo with joy. This meant that he didn't have to sacrifice himself to help Yin Xiao. Little Mo, I'm almost done. Continue using spiritual energy. Yun Luofeng came back to his senses and suppressed the joy in his heart. Yes, master. Little Mo heaved a sigh of relief. Better to live than to die. Who would want to die if they could live? Therefore, the restoration of the divine grimoire space was the best. Otherwise, he would really sacrifice himself to protect Yin Xiao. However, when he thought of what he had said before, he wanted to cry, but had no tears. Master, can I not marry Xiao Bai? Yin Luofeng glanced at him calmly. It's too late. At this moment, little Mo's heart turned cold. It was all his fault. If he died, then he died. Why did he say he would marry Xiao Bai in the next life? Even though Xiao Bai was very cute without her memories, once she regained her memories, she would become a little demon again. Therefore, it was too late for little Mo to regret. Yin Luofeng no longer paid attention to Whitey, who was at the side. He focused on slowly moving that drop of blood out of his heart. Outside the room, Hong Wan's dress fluttered as she fought a bloody battle. Her footsteps never left the door. She stood firmly outside the door, not allowing anyone to enter. But she felt that time was passing and her heart was filled with anxiety. No, she couldn't let these people disturb Yin Luofeng. Even if she died, she would hold them back. Thinking of this, Hong Wan's eyes became more determined and her face was cold. There were too many experts, so many that Hong Wan was somewhat exhausted. Every time she moved alone, there would be countless people behind her. The entire street was piled with corpses like a mountain, reaching the sky. Poochie! Suddenly, Hong Wan spat out a mouthful of blood, and her peerlessly beautiful face turned ghastly pale. Why so fast? Mother clearly said that she could hold on for an hour, but only a quarter of an hour has passed. She seemed to sense the loss of power, and her expression became more and more anxious. Could it be that the era is too long ago, causing the time that can be persisted to go backwards? No. If he cannot persevere, Yin Luofeng will definitely be in danger. She bit her lips tightly and covered her chest with her hands. Give me a quarter of an hour, just a quarter of an hour, and I'll be able to deal with these people. I beg you. The fruit in her body did not respond to her pleas and continued to drain her energy rapidly. As her energy flowed backwards, Hong Wan felt a little weak and almost fell to the ground. But in order to not let those people notice that something was wrong with her, she did not fall and used all her strength to persevere. Even so, someone noticed something and exclaimed in surprise, "This woman's time limit is up. She will fall back to the middle level of a holy king soon. When that time comes, we'll be able to kill her, haha." Chapter 1389. Hong Wan stared coldly at the powerful cultivators who were charging towards her, and her face turned pale. Even so, she did not take a single step back and stood firmly in front of the door like a huge mountain. Damn it! Hong Wan gritted her teeth and gradually felt her strength weakening. I wonder if Yin Luofeng has recovered. I can't hold on for much longer. However, as long as she was still breathing, she would not let these people advance an inch. As such, Hong Wan did not hesitate when she saw the crowd swarming towards her. She charged into the enemy's camp once again and killed decisively. Her red robes fluttered in the wind. However, at this moment, anyone could see that Hong Wan's strength was rapidly depleting and she was powerless to resist. Slash! A long knife slashed across Hong Wan's arm and her sleeve was torn apart. Blood splattered everywhere, and it looked like the most beautiful color in the world was raining down from the sky. Little girl, are you still not going to step aside? An old man stepped forward and looked coldly at Hong Wan, who was struggling to hold on, as he spoke in an overbearing manner. Hong Wan clutched her injured arm tightly and raised her eyebrows, which were filled with a domineering aura that could not be ignored. I, Hong Wan, have been afraid of everything in my life except death. I've said it before, if you want to enter my room, you'll have to step over my dead body. Due to the loss of the medicinal effects, Hong Wan's strength had regressed from a holy lord to a holy venerate, then from a holy venerate to a holy ruler. Unfortunately, when Hong Wan's cultivation reached her original level, it did not stop there. Instead, it regressed even further until it reached the Holy Spirit stage and then the Honorable Spirit stage. The people who had come to encircle the Ghost Emperor laughed heartily when they saw Hong Wan's cultivation level deteriorate. Their arrogant laughter echoed throughout the silent street. "Little girl, I never thought that the side effects of increasing your strength would be so severe. You've actually become a good-for-nothing." At this rate, Hong Wan's strength would definitely be completely lost, and she would become a complete good-for-nothing. Hong Wan's heart tightened, and she clutched her injured arm tightly. Even she had not expected that the consequences of forcefully consuming medicinal ingredients would be so severe. However, she did not regret it. "I'm very curious. Who is this Ghost Emperor to you? Why would you risk your life to save him?" The old man sneered. He looked at Hong Wan mockingly and spoke with disdain. Hong Wan raised her head and looked coldly at the group of people in front of her. "There's nothing we can do. Who asked the Ghost Emperor to be my Yun Luofeng's man? If he dies, Yin Luofeng will definitely be heartbroken. So, all I can do is to protect him with my life." Furthermore, Hong Wan paused for a moment before she said mockingly, "You people are truly shameless. The heart of Bodhi was obtained by the Ghost Emperor, yet you surrounded him and tried to stop him. On top of that, you even gave such a high-sounding reason. Even without Yin Luofeng, when I see people like you, I'll definitely come out to stand up for injustice too. Humph, there's no point in talking so much. Little girl, you chose to help the Ghost Emperor. So today, we will use your death to pay tribute to our brothers and sisters who died in this battle." Boom! In an instant, the auras of all the powerful cultivators arrived with a loud bang. Hong Wan gripped the sword in her hand tightly as she raised her head to look at the overwhelming crowd. "Perhaps I, Hong Wan, will really die here this time. If I were to mention my only regret in this life, it would be that I haven't had the chance to make a name for myself and prove myself to my father." Chapter 1390. This was her only regret. "However, even if I die here, I will use my entire life's strength to fight for the last bit of time for them." At this moment, Hong Wan's strength was still deteriorating. Clearly, she had already decided to go all out. All the spiritual power in her body leaked out and turned into a red dragon. In an instant, it attacked the experts that were rushing over. Unfortunately, Hong Wan was too weak. Her remaining spiritual power was like a cup of water in a vast ocean. It was instantly drowned. "I'm sorry. I really tried my best. However, I couldn't make a promise to you." Hong Wan's body swayed. She couldn't hold it in and fell to the ground. The long sword in her hand also fell to the ground. It made a crisp sound like a bell. Suddenly, an arm stretched out from behind and grabbed Hong Wan tightly. Hong Wan was startled. She slowly opened her eyes. Instantly, an ethereal white robe reflected in her eyes. Her black hair fluttered in the wind. It was as beautiful as a painting. Yin Luofeng. Looking at the young girl who grabbed her, Hong Wan's lips curled up. Her voice was very soft and light. It slowly echoed in the noisy sky. "You succeeded?" She succeeded. Her promise to her was fulfilled. "Hong Wan, it's been hard on you. Go to sleep first. When you wake up, everything will be settled." "All right." Hong Wan obediently closed her eyes. She was indeed too tired. She was exhausted. Therefore, even if she fell asleep before lying down, she would still be able to sleep. "Xiao Mo, bring her in to rest." Yin Luofeng handed Hong Wan to Xiao Mo. Then, he turned to look at the people behind him. Fenger. The man's cold black robe fluttered in the wind. His expression was always paralyzed. Apart from facing Yin Luofeng, he didn't show any expression to anyone else. Even if this group of people wanted to surround and kill him, they came for me. Then, let me kill them with my own hands. Boom! In an instant, The man's murderous aura surged out. It was so powerful that no one could match it. Everyone was shocked. Ghost Emperor. He broke through to the Saint Lord realm? Impossible. As long as a saint appeared on the continent, it would cause a heaven and earth anomaly. Why did the ghost Tharch silently break through to become a saint without anyone noticing? Hong Wan had become a saint because she had consumed the herbs. Hence, her strength wasn't stable, and she was unable to exhibit the strength of a saint. Otherwise, not to mention a quarter of an hour, even a quarter of an hour would be enough to deal with this group of people. However, the man in front of him was a true saint. The strongest among them was only a high-level Saint Venerable. Run! Everyone looked at each other in dismay before turning around and fleeing. How could Yin Xiao give them the chance to leave? Boom! Just as they took a few steps forward, raging flames suddenly emerged from the ground. The raging flames caused the entire sky to be dyed red, and heart-wrenching begging sounds resounded in the sky. The Withered Dragon Town was a quiet little town. Especially after the Ghost Emperor came, all the residents had moved away. But now, the Withered Dragon Town was surrounded by flames that did not dissipate even after a few days and nights. Coupled with the ghostly wails and wolf howls that resounded from within the town, no one dared to take another step into the town, even after many years. Yun Xiao. When Yun Luofeng saw Yun Xiao stumble, he quickly went forward and supported his body. Your injuries have yet to recover. In the future, leave these things to me. Leave them to me. Chapter 1391. There were too many of them. Yin Xiao turned to look at Yin Luofeng and replied firmly, I don't want you to be injured. Yin Luofeng had only broken through to Saint Ruler not too long ago. Even if she managed to kill these people in the end, she would definitely be heavily injured. And he did not want her to be injured suddenly. The young girl's body crashed fiercely into the man's embrace. Perhaps he had accidentally hurt himself, but the man groaned. He then raised his hand and hugged the young girl tightly. Yin Xiao, no matter what happens in the future, don't hide anything from me. She did not dare to imagine what kind of danger Yin Xiao would have encountered if she had not arrived in time. Even though he had consumed the medicinal liquid of the heart of Bodhi, he would still have fallen unconscious from the intense pain. Fainting under such circumstances would have been extremely dangerous. Otherwise, Yin Luofeng would not have taken the risk of transferring all the spiritual energy in the divine grimoire space to him. Yin Xiao thought for a moment before saying, All right. Hearing this, Yin Luofeng slowly left the man's embrace and turned to walk into the room. Let's go, I want to check on Hong Wan's condition. In the room, Xiao Mo was waiting by Hong Wan's bed. He sensed Yin Luofeng and Yun Zhao's entrance and turned his head. A thread of worry flashed across his handsome, fair face. Master, Hong Wan's condition is more serious. She has consumed an item that forcefully increases her strength, causing the side effects to act up and her strength to regress. So, even if you cure Hong Wan, she will never be able to cultivate for the rest of her life. Xiao Mo furrowed his brows tightly. If it were not for his master, Hong Wan would not have paid such a painful price. Logically, they should help her recover. I remember that there's a record in the divine grimoire of medicine that if an external force causes her strength to regress, there is a medicinal herb that can help her recover her strength. Yin Luofeng frowned gently and thought for a moment before saying, That medicinal herb is called the Sorcerer's Enchantment Flower. Sorcerer's Enchantment Flower? The green-robed man, who had been silent all this while, cried out in surprise when he heard Yun Luofeng's words. When Yun Zhao's gaze swept over him, he finally regained his senses. He coughed dryly and said, Mistress, I've heard of this Sorcerer's Enchantment Flower. It's said that it's the Sorcerer's Enchantment Flower that guards a clan. The Sorcerer's Enchantment Flower has never come into contact with the outside world, so if you want to obtain it, I'm afraid that it'll be very difficult. Where is the Witch Demon tribe? Yin Luofeng asked as he looked at Hong Wan, who was lying on the bed. Yin Xiao could tell what Yin Luofeng was thinking with a single glance. He walked to her side, his gaze never leaving the beautiful girl in front of him. I'll go with you. Yin Xiao, you have yet to recover from your injuries. Coupled with the fact that I had just stitched up your wound, you used the power in your body, causing your wound to become even more serious. So, Yin Luofeng paused, then continued. This time, I alone will be enough. As if sensing the worry in the man's heart, Yin Luofeng raised the corners of his lips. Yin Xiao, don't worry, I'll definitely come back alive to see you. Besides, after so many years, when you weren't by my side, didn't I still charge through alone? Believe me, as long as I don't want to die, no one can kill me. Yin Zhao's black eyes were fixed upon the young girl's beautiful face. He reached out his hand, and his slender fingers gently stroked the young girl's fine black hair. His grim brows slowly turned gentle. I'll wait for your return. As soon as he said this, Yin Xiao suddenly grabbed Yin Luofeng's arm and pulled her into his arms. He then gently kissed the young girl's lips as if there was no one else around. Chapter 1392. The light-robed man turned his head awkwardly. Xiao and Mo, Fire, and the rest quickly covered their eyes, but they still peeked through their fingers at the two people who were kissing. The two of them were as perfect as a mural, so unreal. After the kiss, Yin Xiao let go of the young girl in his arms and said softly, Go, you must be careful. Yin Luofeng nodded and ordered, Xiao and Mo, Fire, let's go. She looked at Yin Xiao one last time, turned around and walked out. Not long after she left, Yin Xiao coldly ordered, Take care of this woman. Hong Wan was here alone, so she needed someone to take care of her. In this life, Yin Xiao was only willing to take care of Yin Luofeng. Therefore, he threw Hong Wan to his subordinates on the spot and strode out. The desolate town was still burning with raging flames. Yin Xiao didn't even look at these people as he walked towards the forest outside the town. When he found a secluded place, he took out a piece of jade from somewhere and pinched it. The jade turned into powder in his hand. This was what Ji Jiuqian had left for him. In that battle, they fought to their heart's content. Thus, Ji Jiuqian left behind a piece of jade. If Yin Xiao wanted to continue fighting, he could crush this piece of jade, and he could appear at any time. Thus, not long after the jade was crushed, a bewitching red robe flew over from afar. The man's laughter was carefree and unrestrained, but it caused Yin Zhao's face to darken slightly. The man descended from the sky. His skin was like cream, his lips were as red as blood, his eyebrows were like a painting, and his red robe was enchanting. He was so beautiful that he didn't look like a human, especially the cinnabar between his eyebrows, which made his temperament even more bewitching and bewitching. If the person standing in front of him was a woman, it would be difficult for her to resist such temptation. Ghost Emperor, you want to continue fighting with me? Ji Jiuqian raised his eyebrows and raised his chin slightly. His expression was somewhat condescending, cold, and demonic. Yin Xiao was as expressionless as ever. Fenger went to the Lich clan. Ji Jiuqian raised his eyebrows. Why are you telling me this? I hope you can go and protect her. Oh, Ji Jiuqian's lips curled into a seductive smile. You asked me to protect Xiao Fenger. Why don't you go yourself? She doesn't want me to go. Yin Xiao paused for a moment before continuing. I don't want to do anything that would make her unhappy. Truthfully speaking, Yin Xiao was very clear about the condition of his body. He also understood that if he insisted on going, it would definitely cause his beloved woman to worry. This was not what he wanted to see. Ji Jiuqian's strength was not much different from his. If Ji Jiuqian could go, protecting Yin Luofeng's safety would not be a problem. Aren't you afraid that I'll snatch little Fenger away when you're unprepared? Ji Jiuqian smiled as a ray of light flashed across his seductive eyes. Yin Zhao's cold eyes swept over Ji Jiuqian's seductive face. Fenger will not be interested in someone who is neither male nor female like you. Ji Jiuqian's face sank. After a long while, a smile appeared on his face. If it wasn't for the fact that Xiao Fenger would be sad, I wouldn't have let you off so easily. Same here. If it had not been for the fact that Ji Jiuqian had not threatened Yin Luofeng in any way, Yin Xiao would not have let him off either. He would get rid of any enemies around Yin Luofeng, but he would not hurt anyone who had helped him. Chapter 1393. I will protect Xiao Feng. Ji Jiuqian smiled. However, I really admire you. First, you dug out her heart to take her blood. Now, in order to protect her, you are willing to let another man protect her. If I were you, I would never do this. Yin Xiao said coldly, so you can't have her. Ji Jiuqian was overbearing, but Yin Luofeng's personality was the same. If Ji Jiuqian was by her side, he would definitely fight day and night. She didn't need a strong man, but someone who was willing to hide all the light for her without a doubt. Yin Xiao was this kind of man. On the outside, he was bloodthirsty and heartless, but only in front of Yin Luofeng, he was willing to take care of everything for her. Even if he had the world in his hands, he would give it to her. From the beginning, when he put down his dignity and became her bodyguard, it was obvious. Only a man who was willing to fight with her on the battlefield could stay by her side for the rest of her life. Ji Jiuqian narrowed his eyes and smiled. Why do I feel like she chose you? Because you appeared first. Ghost Emperor, I admit that at first, I only approached this girl because she was an old friend. However, the closer I got to her, the more charming she became. Even though I've never been with her, I've had people report everything she's experienced to me. He slowly walked towards the Ghost Emperor with a smile on his peerlessly beautiful face as he warned in an overbearing manner. Therefore, you'd better not do anything to let Xiao Feng her down. Otherwise, I'll take her away and you'll never be able to see her again. In reality, Ji Jiuqian had a good impression of Yin Luofeng. As for love, thinking of this, Ji Jiuqian laughed at himself. He never thought that he would fall in love with anyone. You won't get the chance. Yin Zhao's tone was very firm. He would never give Ji Jiuqian this chance. I hope so, haha. Ji Jiuqian laughed wildly. He waved his red sleeves and walked down the mountain. In a secluded valley, the sound of his wild laughter still resounded. Sorcerer Valley. In the valley, a middle-aged man sat on a stone bench and was reading a book. At this moment, a clansman hurriedly reported, Patriarch, the Saintess is here. The Saintess is here? The Patriarch was stunned. He stood up from a stone bench and saw a woman in a white dress slowly walking over. This woman was dressed in plain clothes, but she was devastatingly beautiful. She wore a sapphire blue pearl hairpin in her hair, which was the symbol of the witch race's Saintess. The Holy Maiden had great power in the witch demon tribe. Even the tribe leader had to be courteous to her. This was because the ancestor had left behind a legend that the Holy Maiden could change the witch demon tribe. If he found the Saintess, he would definitely treat her with courtesy. His authority was above tens of thousands of people. Therefore, the arrival of the Saintess seemed grand and mighty. A group of maidservants dressed in the same white dress followed closely behind, setting off her alluring temperament. Saintess, why are you here? The Patriarch frowned and asked. The Saintess's temper was not very good. However, due to the rules left by the ancestors, they could only obey her. However, the Saintess was afraid that the other women in the valley would be inferior to her beauty, so she immediately dismissed all the beautiful women in the valley. Instead, she recruited a group of average-looking people. Chapter 1394. Clan Leader. The woman in white's eyes flashed as her lips curled into a smile. Yesterday, I had predicted the future of the witch demon tribe. It is said that a woman named Yin Luofeng will appear in the future and destroy the witch demon tribe. Valley Master, you should immediately send someone to the Wuhui continent and kill Yin Luofeng. When she said this name, the woman in white's eyes flashed with a bone-piercing hatred. It was obvious that she hated Yin Luofeng to the bone. The Valley Master did not notice the strange look on the woman in white's face. He gently furrowed his brows and asked, Saintess, Are you sure that the woman named Yun Luophone will destroy the witch demon tribe? Yes, I am the saintess. Since I've said this, it must be true. Don't you want to protect the peace of the witch demon tribe? The woman in white scoffed coldly and ordered in a cold voice, if you still regard me as the saintess, go and kill Yun Luophone. I will ensure the peace of the witch demon tribe for 1,000 years. After saying this, the woman in white flung her sleeves and stepped into the meteor. She quickly disappeared from the middle-aged man's sight. The middle-aged man's face was ashen. He clenched his fists tightly and used all his strength to quell the anger in his heart. I am the clan leader of the witch demon tribe, a saint. Now, I am being ordered around by an ordinary little girl. If it wasn't for your status as the saintess, I would have thrown you out of the witch demon tribe long ago. Speaking of the saintess, she had only arrived at the witch demon tribe not too long ago. In order to find the saintess, the witch demon tribe had been searching for many years. They never expected to find her in the Wuhui continent. The woman in white did not go far. She walked to the side of a stream and stared at her reflection on the surface of the water. The corners of her lips curled into an eerie smile. Look at how glorious I am now. No matter how powerful you, Yun Luophone, are, you are only a small tower master in Endless City. I, on the other hand, have become a high and mighty saintess. In this lifetime, you will never be able to surpass me. If Yun Luophone was here, he would certainly be able to guess that this woman was the fish that had escaped the net of the O family in Endless City. Oh yeah, she was also a woman that Nangong Uni had once pursued. Back then, the O family had been exterminated by Yun Luophone. Oya had gone to her fiancé's clan, and had thus escaped this calamity. Afterwards, she had been deeply afraid that Yun Luophone would come looking for her fiancé's clan. Therefore, she had stolen a pearl hairpin from her fiancé's younger sister, and had planned to secretly leave. Who would have thought that her stealing the hairpin would be discovered by her fiancé's younger sister? In order to hide her identity, she pierced her fiancé's younger sister's throat and hurriedly escaped. Because she was being chased, she didn't dare to pawn the hairpin, so she kept it with her. But what she didn't expect even more was that this pearl hairpin was actually a keepsake of the witch demon tribe's saintess. Oya gently stroked the pearl hairpin in her hair. The smile on her face grew even more complacent as a cold light flashed across her beautiful eyes. In fact, apart from the hairpin, the tattoo on her body was the reason why she was able to get away with it. At that time, she had only seen a moon symbol on her fiancé's sister's chest and felt that it was very beautiful, so she had someone tattoo it for her. It was this tattoo that confirmed her identity as the saintess, Yun Luophone. My current position isn't something that you can surpass. In the future, I will certainly return the damage that you've caused to my O family. And that damned Huang family. Didn't I just throw myself into Huang Yingying's pearl hairpin? Is there a need for them to exterminate me? Chapter 1395. Besides, Oya paused for a moment before she smiled icily. If Huang Yingying had not discovered that I had stolen the pearl tea and had planned to send me to the torture chamber for punishment, I would not have accidentally killed her. From the very beginning, Oya had never asked herself if she was responsible. Instead, she had pushed all the blame onto others. Naturally, these words came from her heart. If the sorcerer demon tribe were to find out that she had stolen the hairpin, not only would she lose her position, she would also die a horrible death. That year, when I was in the O family, I had to continuously disguise myself and face everyone with my best appearance. Only then could I stand out from the crowd. But now, as the saintess of the sorcerer demon tribe, I no longer need to disguise myself. My position is the highest. If anyone dares to disobey me, I'll just kill them. A murderous glint flashed across Oya's eyes. Then, she smiled in satisfaction. It was obvious that she was very satisfied with her current life at the Sorcerer Valley. At the foot of the mountain was a bustling small town. The people were simple and did not look flourishing. Xiao and Mo, let's go and find out about the situation in the Sorcerer Valley. Yin Luofeng gently stroked his chin as a light flashed across his eyes. It was a good thing that the townspeople were simple, and Yin Luofeng soon found out about the situation in the Sorcerer Valley. It was said that there were many dangerous places in the Sorcerer Valley. If one were to rush in blindly without understanding the terrain, one would certainly die. Coupled with the venomous poison used by the Sorcerer Demon tribe, even if one was not in danger, one would still die from poison. This was the terrifying strength of the Sorcerer Demon tribe. Shout, Emo. It looks like we need to make our preparations before we head to the Sorcerer Demon tribe. Yin Luofeng's eyes flickered as the corners of his lips curled into a lazy smile. Now, let's find a place to rest. When the old man next to her heard Yin Luofeng's words, he chuckled and said, "Miss, we don't have an inn in this town, so if you want to rest, you can come to my house. After all, there's no one else in my house. Aside from me, there's only a little girl that I've taken in some time ago." Yin Luofeng thought for a moment before he gently nodded. All right. This old man's power was very ordinary and would not pose a threat to her. Even so, Yin Luofeng did not let down her guard and continued to raise her defenses at all times. "Miss, this is the old man's residence." The old man pushed open the broken door and welcomed Yin Luofeng and little Emo inside. At this moment, there was a young girl sitting in the room. Her face was covered by a veil, and her eyes were dull and lifeless, filled with sadness. Perhaps it was because she heard the sound of the door opening that she raised her head slightly. In that instant, the white-clothed girl standing at the door entered her sight. She stared blankly for half a second, then suddenly stood up and dashed towards Yin Luofeng as fast as she could. Yin Luofeng did not sense the young girl's murderous intent. Hence, she did not make any movements. Instead, she silently watched the masked young girl charge towards her. There seemed to be something wrong with the young girl's throat. She made gestures. Her eyes were filled with excitement, as if she wanted to tell Yin Luofeng something. Yin Luofeng looked at her indifferently and asked, "You know me?" Hearing this, the young girl nodded her head forcefully. Her eyes shone brightly. Soon after, she took out a piece of paper out of nowhere and wrote a few words on it. "Yin Luofeng, I finally found you." Chapter 1396. At first, Yin Luofeng had thought that the young lady had mistaken her for someone else. Only when the young lady had written her name did she confirm that the young lady in front of her was indeed looking for her. "What do you know my name?" Yin Luofeng raised her eyebrows as her demonic eyes slowly swept over the young lady's body. She was certain that she had never seen her before. The young lady continued to write on the paper. "I'm a member of the Huang family. Nangong Uni asked me to come here and find you. He said that you could help me." "Nangong Uni?" Yin Luofeng was startled. Back then, after she had destroyed the three great families, only Oya of the O family wasn't in Endless City. Because of this, she had sent someone from the medical tower to the Huang family. As for the outcome after that, she wasn't sure because she had already left the Wuhui mainland if she hadn't guessed wrong. The young lady in front of her was the daughter of the Huang family, Huang Ingying. She was a younger sister of Oya's fiancé. Huang Ingying? Yin Luofeng recalled the name and said those three words with certainty. Huang Ingying hadn't expected Yin Luofeng to know of her existence. Her eyes were filled with excitement as she quickly wrote down the cause and effect on the paper. After reading the contents of the paper, Yin Luofeng fell silent. Back then, when Oya came to seek shelter with the Huang family, we didn't know what had happened to her in Endless City. When the news from Endless City arrived, Oya had already stolen my pearl hairpin and planned to leave secretly. This beaded hairpin was left to me by my mother. It is said that it has been passed down from generation to generation. My mother was originally from a clan in the 7 continents. My mother's clan was once powerful in the 7 continents, but as time passed, each generation was worse than the previous one. In order to ensure peace, the family moved to the Wuhui mainland. So, when Oya stole my pearl hairpin, I felt very angry and went to find her to settle the score. Because Oya gave people the impression that she was kind, I could understand her stealing the hairpin and running away. However, I didn't expect that in order to not let anyone know about her actions, she didn't hesitate to kill me to silence me. Coincidentally, on that day, Nangong Uni brought people from the medical tower to capture Oya and discovered me on the verge of death. It was the people from the medical tower who saved me. Even so, because my throat was severely injured, I was unable to speak. But the young girl paused for a moment, then changed the paper and wrote down the results of the incident. After Oya left, the people from the medical tower and the Huang family started to hunt her down. Who would have thought that in less than a year, 2 people would come to the Huang family and annihilate the entire Huang family? It was also at that time that I understood that Oya had actually gone to the 7 continents and became the witch race's saintess. Because Oya thought I was dead, I was able to escape this calamity. Oya had become the holy maiden of the Lich tribe. Yin Luofeng's face suddenly darkened. Did something happen to the medical tower and the Yi family? If Oya destroyed the Huang family, her next target would be the medical tower and the Ye family. Huang Yingying shook her head. After that group of people destroyed the Huang family, they left. The medical tower is fine for now. However, if we don't destroy Oya, it is very likely that she will attack the medical tower. In reality, after Oya had sent people to destroy the Huang family, it wasn't that she didn't want to destroy the medical tower. It was because she had just become the witch race's saintess and didn't know the status of a saintess in the witch race. Therefore, she had sent the 2 servant girls sent by the clan leader to take care of her to destroy the Huang family. Chapter 1397. The strength of these 2 maids was not bad. After all, they were from the witch demon tribe. Their strength was also at the Holy Spirit realm. However, there were many Holy Spirit realm experts in the Wuhui continent. Just these 2 maids were not enough to fight against the medical tower. Oya found out that the Holy Maiden's position was above the clan leaders. She excitedly went to find the clan leader and asked him to send people to destroy the medical tower. No matter how strong the medical tower was, no matter how talented Yin Luofeng was, he could not fight against the sorcerer tribe. Miss Yin, I beg you help me. I want to get revenge on Oya. In the 7 continents, only you can help me. If you help me get revenge, I am willing to listen to your orders for the rest of my life. After writing this last paragraph, Huang Yingying raised her head and looked at Yin Luofeng with pleading eyes. Right now, Yin Luofeng was her last life-saving straw. She would hold on to him tightly and never let go. I will kill Oya. Yin Luofeng glanced at Huang Yingying and said, but not for you. To prevent Oya from hurting my family. To cut weeds, one must remove the roots. That day, after Oya escaped, she understood that if she did not get rid of him, he would become a disaster. Thank you. Huang Yingying's throat could not make a sound, but she mouthed these 2 words. She did not care why Yin Luofeng wanted to kill Oya. She only knew that Yin Luofeng could get revenge for her. That alone was enough. Huang Yingying, do you know why Oya became the holy maiden of the sorcerer tribe? Yin Luofeng raised his eyebrows and asked in a lazy voice. Huang Yingying shook her head. This was not something she could understand. Of course, she did not know that Oya became the holy maiden because of her. Your throat injury is not light. Yin Luofeng looked at Huang Yingying from head to toe and said to the elder and little Mo behind him, you 2 go out for a while. I will treat her. To be honest, Huang Yingying felt very innocent. Although her brother was Oya's fiancé, based on Oya's actions in Endless City, even Nangong Uni could be deceived, let alone others. Therefore, Yin Luofeng did not have a bad impression of the Huang family. Most importantly, Huang Yingying's injury had something to do with her. Back then, she was the one who wanted to kill Oya. That was why Oya was so desperate that she stole Huang Yingying's hairpin, intending to use it for travel expenses. She did not expect that she would be discovered by Huang Yingying, causing her to suffer such a calamity. Logically and emotionally, Yin Luofeng should have cured him. Little girl, you... The old man was stunned. He wanted to say something, but was pulled away by little Mo. Yin Luofeng raised his hand and waved. With a ripping sound, Huang Yingying's clothes were torn apart. Instantly, the dazzling array of wounds on her body appeared before Yun Luofeng's eyes. These scars won't heal in less than half a month. I'll treat your throat first. If Yun Luofeng used spirit medicine, these scars would quickly recover. The problem was that all the spirit herbs in the divine grimoire had been eaten by the small tree, and not a single one was left. Therefore, she could only buy ordinary herbs to treat her now. Huang Yingying's little face blushed. She lifted the veil that covered her face and looked at the scars on her body with a gloomy expression. These scars had been left behind on her journey. She had originally lived like a princess, but for the sake of revenge, she had indeed gone to great lengths. Chapter 1398. Furthermore, from now on, she would be the only one left in the Huang family. She would no longer be the pampered miss. Huang Yingying will stay here for 3 days. In these 3 days, I'll help your throat recover. The wounds on your body, I'll heal them as soon as possible. The young girl's voice caused Huang Yingying to raise her head. Her eyes were filled with gratitude. She had originally only wanted Yin Luofeng to help her take revenge. She hadn't thought that she would actually heal her wounds. Everyone in the world said that the Tower of Medicine's Tower Master, Yin Luofeng, was ruthless, cold, and merciless. He killed decisively and left no roots behind. But at this moment, Huang Yingying discovered that this beautiful young girl in front of her was a very good person. She really didn't know why the people outside wanted to slander her like this. Could it be because of jealousy? That's right, it was definitely jealousy. Because of jealousy, they slandered such a beautiful young girl into a bloodthirsty and merciless demon. What is it? Yin Luofeng discovered Huang Yingying's strangeness and raised his head to ask. Huang Yingying hurriedly shook her head. She felt a burst of warmth in her heart. Ever since her family had passed away, no one had ever treated her so well. 3 days. Time passed in a flash. 3 days later, in the early morning, Yin Luofeng was sitting and sipping tea. A young girl in an orange dress lifted the curtain and slowly walked out of the room. Her voice was still a bit hoarse, but she could already speak. Thank you. Her first sentence was to thank Yin Luofeng. You've pretty much recovered. Let's go. Yin Luofeng looked at Huang Yingying and said, Right. How did you come to the 7 states continent? It was the Chun family master. Huang Yingying blinked her eyes and said in a hoarse voice, The Chun family master said he was your friend and could help me. He brought me to the 7 states continent. Chun Yuqing? Yin Luofeng froze. If Nangong Yuni helped Huang Yingying, that would be fine. After all, Nangong Yuni was kind-hearted and liked to meddle in other people's business. But what kind of person was Chun Yuqing? That man looked like an immortal on the surface, but his heart was extremely cold. He definitely wouldn't meddle in other people's business, even if Huang Yingying and he had a common enemy. What else did Chun Yuqing say to you? Yin Luofeng took a sip of tea and asked. Huang Yingying carefully looked at Yin Luofeng. The Chun family head said that if you help me take revenge, then I will be loyal to you in the future and cannot betray you. Make Huang Yingying swear loyalty to her? Yin Luofeng frowned slightly. Huang Yingying's talent was not strong. Even among her peers in the Wuhui continent, she was only considered average, let alone the 7 continents. Could it be that there was something special about her? Let's go. Since Chun Yuqing said so, she must have her reasons. However, he wasn't here, so she didn't even have a chance to ask. All right. Huang Yingying smiled. Her smile was very beautiful, causing people's eyes to light up. Young ladies, are you leaving now? The old man knew that Yin Luofeng would be leaving tonight, so he asked reluctantly. He had been alone for too long. 2 girls had finally come, but they were about to leave. Yin Luofeng thought for a while, then said, When I return here next time, I will send someone to accompany you. At this moment, Yin Luofeng thought of the book she had obtained from Zhu Qian. That book could create a puppet with a life of its own. However, after so many days, she had never been able to try it. Chapter 1399. Because in order to make a puppet, one must have an item. That item was the Lich's bone. Therefore, she came to the Lich clan not only for the Lich's flower, but also for the Lich's bone. After saying this, Yin Luofeng left with Huang Yingying and little Mo. He didn't even turn his head back. But the moment she stepped out of the door, a familiar figure dressed in red entered her sight, causing her expression to darken. The man in front of her was dressed in a red robe. His blood-red lips held a smile that could turn all living things upside down. His face was peerless, like a demon. He was so beautiful that it made people forget to breathe. Ji Jiutian, why are you here? Ji Jiutian smiled. Taking a walk. Take a walk? Take a walk from the West Continent to the Central Continent? Did he think she was stupid? Then continue your walk. Huang Yingying, Xiao and Mo, let's go. Huang Yingying was stunned by Ji Jiutian's appearance. When she heard Yin Luofeng's words, she came back to her senses and hurriedly chased after them. Miss Yin, who is this sister? She's so beautiful. Sister? Ji Jiutian's face darkened, and he glared at Huang Yingying with a dark gaze. If she wasn't Yin Luofeng's woman, he would have killed her just because of those two words. Xiao Mo burst into laughter. Huang Yingying, this person isn't a woman. He's a man. A man? Huang Yingying felt goosebumps all over her body. She had thought that this beautiful person was a woman and even praised his beauty. She never thought that it was a man. A man who looked like this was too scary. Fenger. Ji Jiutian saw that Yin Luofeng was about to leave. His figure flashed, and his red robe blocked Yin Luofeng's way. He laughed maniacally. I admit that I came here to find you. You're willing to tell the truth? Yin Luofeng raised his eyebrows and looked at the man in front of him with a faint smile. Then why did you come find me? The Ghost Emperor found me. Ji Jiutian looked at Yin Luofeng with a complicated expression. He begged me to protect you. Yin Xiao? Yin Luofeng's heart skipped a beat. He looked down, and his lips curled into a smile. This man was always like this, silently preparing everything for her. As such, how could she not be touched? To have him by her side in this life, what more could she ask for? Yin Luofeng, how do you think I compare to the Ghost Emperor? Ji Jiutian coquettishly raised his finger. Just as he was about to hook Yin Luofeng's chin, she slapped it away. He's a man. Is he a man? What does that mean? Just as Ji Jiutian was dumbfounded, Yin Luofeng added, You're neither a man nor a woman, a transvestite. This is the difference between the two of you. Ji Jiutian's face darkened. He forcefully suppressed the anger in his heart and kept reminding himself that this girl was Zhu Qian's successor. After a long time, he held back the urge to fly into a rage. He curled his lips devilishly and said, The two of you are really of one mind. Even your words are the same. Yin Xiao had just declared that he was neither a man nor a woman, and Yin Luo and Maple Leaf had said the same thing. Could it be that he really wasn't like a man? Ji Jiutian looked at himself and felt that he was full of masculinity. Why did Yin Luofeng think that he was neither a man nor a woman? You can follow me if you want, but Yin Luofeng narrowed his eyes and looked at Ji Jiutian with a smile. You don't need to do anything if I can handle the situation. Chapter 1400. If she could solve it herself, she wouldn't want others to help her, Ji Jiutian laughed. You are Zhu Qian's successor. I definitely won't solve everything for you. I'm here to ensure your safety. After all, I don't want you to be killed before you grow up. The Sorcerer tribe lived at the top of Sorcerer Mountain. In the 3 days that Yin Luofeng was in the small town, besides treating Huang Yingying, she also understood the situation of Sorcerer Mountain and made sufficient preparations. However, just as she walked to the foot of Sorcerer Mountain, she heard a voice. The clan leader is really something. He actually sent us to the Wuhui continent to kill people. I don't even want to step into that broken place. Shoo, lower your voice. Don't let the Holy Maiden hear it. I heard that someone from the Wuhui continent offended the Holy Maiden. That's why the Holy Maiden sent the clan leader there. Anyway, it's just a small force. We can complete the mission quickly. Wuhui continent, Holy Maiden, boom. Yun Luofeng's aura surged, and her evil eyes flashed with murderous intent. While those people were still discussing, suddenly, a snow-white figure descended from the sky and landed in front of them. Looking at the beautiful girl in front of them, they were stunned and asked, "Miss, what do you want? You want to go to the Wuhui continent?" The girl's expression was cold, and her murderous aura spread. "May I know who you were going to kill?" Those people sensed Yun Luofeng's aura, and after being stunned for a moment, they laughed wildly. "A low-level, holy king woman dares to cause trouble for us? Do you really think that we brothers can be bullied? I can tell you that a bastard from the Wuhui continent who is courting death has provoked our holy maiden. That bastard is the tower master of the medical tower. This time, we are under orders to destroy the medical tower." Bang! Suddenly, Yin Luofeng raised her hand and a cold wind rose. That wind was like an invisible hammer that chiseled the person who spoke. That person was caught off guard and took a few steps back. His face was livid. "Damn girl, how dare you attack me? Brothers, let's go and kill this girl." Yin Luofeng slightly raised her evil eyes. Her evil voice rang out at the foot of the Witch Demon Mountain. "I'm sorry, I'm the tower master of the medical tower that you've been talking about." Everyone's expressions swiftly changed. This time, they didn't waste their breath and all charged towards Yin Luofeng. A strong gust of wind blew, and his white robe fluttered wildly. Yun Luofeng stood among the crowd, her expression unchanging. Her eyes were very arrogant, as if she didn't care about this group of people in front of her. Looking at this dangerous scene, Huang Yingying was so nervous that she could not even speak. She clenched her small fists tightly and stared unblinkingly at Yin Luofeng. Little Mo didn't say anything either. Her big bright eyes followed the girl's figure. Only Ji Jiuqian was very relaxed. Not only did he pull out a chair from his space ring and lie on it, he even brought out a plate of fruits. He gently pinched a grape with his slender fingers and placed it gracefully into his mouth. He watched the battle unhurriedly. On the battlefield, the girl's body was dyed with a murderous aura, and the long sword in her hand emitted a cold light. When those people arrived in front of her, she had already moved. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.